welcome back to Pax Mithdosica. Echo, would you like to summarize what happened last time?
Sure. So we started the session out with our party being split. I'm sorry, I thought somebody was knocking my door.
Okay.
It's just my desk, something on my desk knocking against the wall. So we started out with the party split. Zednius and Corvus were in Ravinium, while the rest stayed back in Mythos. They met with the Ecclesiarch, I believe.
Yeah.
Who then, with help of illusion, replayed them the final moments of the group of judges that ended up perishing in the Atlia Mountains against the Beast of Atlia. They didn't find out too much from the actual viewing experience, so we decided to all of our research really not leading into anything more specific than it's the Beast's breath weapon is likely something that we newly classified as plasma, and it's probably more lightning based than fire based. So we got ourselves some lightning resistance potions, but we're not 100% on either of that. Well, there's lots of speculation what plane it could be coming from. And the dragon. Eventually, we ended up going to the mountains. On the way there, we met some weird constructs with molten cores that were trying to explode themselves on us, and Zidnius almost killed Premiers by just pretending like he didn't know he was inside the Orb of Sucking event horizon. And okay, now that's audible.
Yeah,
And
it's very loud now on your vacuum.
Unfortunate.
And we moved on to we eventually defeated them, got some healing, had a little bit of conflict about the whole why didn't you stop that. Moved on to the Archmage that had fallen, Mother something with L.
Plution?
No, Plution, goddammit. Yeah, we found her charred remains. I scribed the gigantic glyph circle as precisely as possible, though some of it had been smudged. And we realized that a lot of like the local evidence of what we've seen was very different from what we've seen in the illusions. It was very inconsistent, specifically on the size of the footsteps. Seemed to be very inconsistent of the beast. We talked a bit about how we should best transport her, and in the end we just ended up teleporting back to a platform that was the glyphs were provided to Corvus after he requested it, just outside of Mythos in the farmlands. And that's where we left off.
Yeah. So you all get the feeling of hurtling through space. All of you have, I think everyone here has teleported at least once before, because you were all there for the, well, with the exception of Maximus, you were all there for the shattering window, like the shattering glass pane incident after you fought the rageful jester, which that was a form of teleportation as well. And you each reappear 50 feet above the earth on a wooden platform outside the walls of Mythos. The body of Mother Plution. Did you guys put her inside of a water skin, or did you put her on a blanket? I remember those were the two ideas. Water skin?
Didn't we put her on a... Yeah. I thought the idea was that we put her on a...
We scooped her into the water skin. That's what we decided on.
Okay, yeah, I remember both ideas were floated, but the water skin one would make sense. And then secondly, we also have several sheets of very, very detailed sketchings of the ward that was inside of the gorge. So, since I'm just going to kind of turn it over to you guys. You're outside of Mythos. What would you like to do next?
I'd like to meet with the Master of Judges. to talk about what we found and to, I guess, turn in our findings.
Yeah, I think we. I think what's the appropriate place to bring Mother Plution's body to? Would that be the temple
I think that's a
of the
reasonable
Radiant Soul?
assumption, yeah.
So we should probably do that. Stop there first.
Well, there are
Or
many
wait,
temples
no,
in
no, the
Mythos.
Master Judge said we should bring it to him. No.
He
Yes,
did
that
request
was-
that, yeah.
Okay,
That
never mind
is
then.
our
We go
direct
straight to the Master of
objective.
Judges. Yeah, my bad.
Alrighty. Then, with Primeus and Corvus leading the way, and a Pegasus slowly flying its way back to you guys, you make your way to the city gate, and then you are led inside. Rather than make your way to the familiar Department of Faith building, you make your way to the Department of Civility. This sprawling complex is one that you've been in a couple times before, but never to meet with the Master of Judges, other than that conference he held a couple of days ago. So you managed to go to the office of the Master of Judges. It takes a little bit for you to get a meeting with him, but it's not especially hard. Similar to when you saw him moving out of his old offices, these offices are in a state of like slowly being assembled. There are assistants and lower ranking members of the department running to and fro, placing in filings and reports. Also, he has a much bigger staff here than he did back in Nauseus because this issue is of such high importance. You managed to find Cato sitting on the balcony, seeming to take it like he's taking in a breath of air to like calm down, but he waves you out to the balcony. And as you know, the first two of you, so probably Corvus and Primia, step out, he'll kind of give a nod to the five of you and say, "Welcome back."
Greetings, Lord Judge. We've come to turn in our findings.
Cato's fine. He kind of looks you all up and down and can see some bruises and scrapes, though nothing severe. He'll say, "Looks like you encountered some resistance."
We found
Yes.
some constructs. Don't know their exact origins, but they were dealt with.
Constructs?
They
They,
seem to be of a metallic nature with a core of molten lava.
He sighs very heavily and starts to like massage his forehead. When you get inside, record that encounter with the most accurate detail you can. All right.
Of course.
He'll look over at Zednius, Maximus, and Grania and say, "Well, your report. You have the body. Where did you locate it, or where did you put it now that you're back in the city?"
I'll hold up my water skid. Do we drop it off? Sorry.
No, you have it.
Yeah, I'll hold up the
Um,
water skin.
Yeah, Cato will slowly nod and say, "I see. She was fully reduced to ash then."
To a point
Well-
where she was a statue that if we moved her, which we had to, she fell into a pile immediately.
Ah. You get the sense that Cato has heard a lot of bad news in the last week or two since you've last seen him, and this just seems to kind of it's not the straw that breaks the camel back, it's just another straw added on top of his many burdens. And he'll just kind of nod and say, "Well, about the ward then, did you manage to get sketchings?"
I'll pull out the sketchings. I made it as detailed as possible.
Huh.
It's
That's good. The Department of Magic will like that.
I hope so. I've never seen anything the likes of this. This is far beyond our capabilities.
Does it lend any insight onto the nature of the beast we're dealing with?
I believe it does,
Really?
to an extent. We
I
can
don't know,
confirm-
actually.
We can confirm that every illusion and replay and sighting used to look into the investigation was directly tampered with because of this circle.
This is true. Even the
Wait, sorry. You mean You mean the illusion being replayed by the Ecclesiarch, and what little evidence we currently do have is false? Incomplete?
Falsified by illusion magic produced by the circle.
He just kind of like holds his nose with his hands and closes his eyes. All right. Any other insights?
From the footsteps we saw, the beast was far larger than a dragon.
Of course it was. Of course it was. How big is it?
What's the measurement of the footsteps approximately? We didn't take a precise measurement.
Yeah, you didn't take anything precise. It was like 2.5 times bigger than the adult dragon you thought you were dealing with.
Judging by the footsteps, about 2.5 times larger.
Cato will walk over to the balcony and open up the door and look at one of his
Losing his shit.
assistants, and he'll say,
Good job.
Tiberius,
Don't jump.
get us some of the Regianova Red and 6 glasses. And then he closes the balcony door and goes back over and kind of leans on the balcony looking out over Mythos.
Oh, what do you do? It's done.
You know, in the last week, I've met with 5 consuls, an imperial legate from the royal family, and 4 proconsuls, and they all ask the exact same questions. They ask about the beast and what's being planned to deal with it, and of course I tell them that the finest people in the Empire are after it. And what you have just explained to me is that what little information we did have is wrong.
Correct.
And a good chunk of the finest is already dead, yes. Furthermore, there seems to be no sign of the magical items of any of them. They
That
must have
I
been
do
taken.
believe we knew. I think that in the vision that the Ecclesiarch showed, the dragon seemed to specifically take the magical items of Mother Plution. It showed an intelligence.
Yes.
This was one of the things that raised such alarm bells in the first place. A bestial lizard is not much of concern, something smart enough to hunt, ambush, and then loot Imperial judges.
I also believe a great deal can be revealed about this beast if we continue to look into the circle,
Well,
with hopes that the Department of Magic shares their findings.
I
in
believe
the
there's
last
a...
in the last week since you've been hunting in the countryside, the number of attacks from beasts wandering down from the Adlian Mountains have increased. There's been one every day. There was one earlier today. I suspect there will be one later tonight. These creatures are not all unreported, but most are completely unfamiliar. So, as of 3 days ago, all but 8 judges have been assigned to the foothills, not to hunt for the beast, but to simply hold back its brood, all these strange monsters descending from the mountains. I suspect they'll have their work cut out for them, especially the less experienced groups. It's you and one other group are still on the task of discovering the beast's identity, researching its properties, not to mention the scribes in the Department of Magic trying to go through our archives, but the current priority is defense.
Who is this other group? Maybe we can, I guess, share notes.
There's 2 of them, Aurelius Tullius Fabricia and Cassius Servius Jania Polonius. The Fabrician, he is a high arcanist in the Department of Magic, but when the beast showed itself, he was willing to take a leave from the Department of Magic to assist me on this task. And Cassius Servius Jania is a veteran of 5 wars and was retired, but once again, he answered the call of the Empire and has lifted up a sword again. They're both talented and venerable.
Indeed. Do you know where they're staying, so we might be able to contact them?
They were sent to go investigate the mountains themselves and see if they could get in contact with the group called the Atlian Rangers. They were the organization which cleansed the mountains of its monstrous inhabitants, but contacting them has proven impossible. So they are going to go up to the mountains on foot with the expectation that the Atlian Rangers are exterminated already to try to figure out what caused it. Though, you could try doing some sort of magical communication. They should be easy to access. I don't know the specifics of how you do that.
Has there been any attempts to, while losing the items that Mother Flusion and others had was obviously dire, we could draw the advantage to be able to use those items to find the bodies. Has anybody tried that?
The Ecclesiarch takes on all of the divine magical aspects, and the Autarch of the Department of Magic has assigned the High Arcanist, the one I spoke of, Aurelius Fabricia. He's been assigned to all other manners of arcane tracking, and everything he's told me is that the judges' bodies and their items are unlocatable.
Oh, there is one more thing that might assist. And I'll pull out the metallic bone. This is possibly a piece of the monster. It was surrounding the...
What is it? It doesn't look like a scale.
Well, my guess is it's a bone. However, I'll hand it to him. As you can feel, it's more metallic than bone.
I'll look up to Zednius, Maximus, and Grania. I assume you've never seen anything like this.
I don't
Shake
think
my
we
head.
know.
Asking.
You ever read about any of this?
Well, he'll hand the shard back to Primius. I'll be honest with you all. This particular task, I think, will eventually make progress, but at present, if what you say is true, we know nothing. So, rather than give you a specific task pretending I know how best to tackle this problem, I'll give you a general directive. We need to know what it is. This thing killed 5 judges with decades of experience. I'm not convinced that there is any group of men I could send up into those mountains with the intention of killing it and have them come back alive. So before I do anything like that, we're going to know what it is. Now, of course you know, the Emperor himself is interested in this matter, so you'll have all the support you need. Whatever leads or avenues you think you can approach, contact me, and I'll try to assist you with it. But I will not be sending you or anyone else up into those mountains to hunt the beast until we know anything. So, whatever avenues you think will be appropriate, take them. And if there's anything you could use assistance with, let me know.
I guess first things first, I'd like contact with an expert with monsters that can identify pieces.
I believe there are a large number of monstrology tomes in the Department of Magic, but for a specific expert, you'd probably have to reach out to them. I've heard reports from other judges that the Department of Magic has been a bit stingy, specifically with its material resources, so I'd recommend being heavy-handed. You are judges of the Empire, they cannot deny your requests.
Understood. And with that, I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah. How stressed does everyone in the party look?
I think
pretty stressed. Like, Kato clearly doesn't know how to deal with this anymore. This is the threat that is immense, and actually, I have one more thing I'd like to ask Kato.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a chance that this entire circle, this beast, the entirety of it all are illusionary?
If illusions could incinerate judges, then I think I would have
It
heard
might
about
be
that.
well, it might be a complex illusion combined with that. This circle is immensely complex. Maybe it's a circle that projects the illusion of a dragon, and then also a high quality fire blast to kill people.
Kato just kind of blinks
Maybe
at
what
you
we're
and
fighting
says,
here isn't. Maybe what we're fighting here isn't a beast, but simply humans. Or
"If you think it's an enemy we're facing, whatever you think it is, I'll hear it once you've gathered evidence for your theory. I'd recommend consulting the Department of Magic on specifics, though."
understood.
Well, I recommend that you all take this not with a feverish pace. While this is an important task, at present I'm unsure how long it'll take to even figure out what we're dealing with. So, make sure you get rest, eat properly, tend to those wounds. And if there's anything else, feel free to reach out to my office.
Primus will nod.
And yeah, he'll turn back to the balcony. The servant who he ordered to go get some wine will arrive at about this time. You guys are already headed out, so he'll just begin to pour a glass for himself. So, where to?
The Department of Magic, I think.
All of them, or just you? Or
Well, did we leave the copies with Kato, or should we bring
No.
them to the Department of Magic?
no? He didn't ask for them. He didn't even ask for
Okay.
Plution's body.
Well, in that case, I think we go to the Department of Faith and then the Department of Magic. No.
You could split. You and Premius go to the
Oh,
Department
that's-
of
yeah.
Magic, and then sure. All right. Well, Maximus, since you're the bearer of the body,
Yes.
you begin to
Yeah.
make your way to the depart. Well, where are you going? I mean, there's about 20 different cathedrals in the city. There's of course the Department of Faith. There's mortuaries.
She was incredibly important, right?
She
was
was I
quite
believe,
well
12th
known.
level cleric. Yeah. Yeah, quite important.
Sorry, I accidentally turned my headphone volume all the way down
Nice.
while you
She
were
was a
saying that.
12th level cleric, so yeah, she was pretty important.
Okay. Do judges tend to leave or not? Yes. Yeah. Judges tend to leave instructions for what they would want
No,
done with their bodies with the. Okay, they don't leave that.
I mean some do, but some don't.
Might as well see if she did that first.
Yeah, so you'll make your way to a morgue, essentially. And Zednius and Grania, do you want to go on either of these errands, or would you like to retire to the quarters provided by the Department of Civility?
Go to the
Probably
morgue.
just retire.
Okay. Grania, you head back, and Zednius, you tag along with Maximus to the morgue. There are, again, a number of these facilities throughout the city, but the one that would most likely have judges' records is the one that's built into, it's an addition to the Department of Faith. Technically, it's under the Department of Civility now, but it takes some time for things like morgues to be rebuilt. So you make your way into the morgue building and hand basically explain who you're looking for. The clerk will nod, and he will disappear behind a counter for a while. And eventually, a older woman in white robes will kind of step out, and she has a basin in her hands, and she will say, "Hello, I am the director for this facility. We did not find any records from this Mother Plution you spoke of, but I have this, a better container for her material remnants than a water skin."
Excellent. Yes, thank you. I shall, as delicately as one can do it, pour the remains of.
Yeah, a lot of it
Or the remains
clumps
into the bowl.
inside of the water skin because the water skin is wet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
not all of it comes out, but it pours into the basin as you
I'll
kind of
fucking
sifts it around.
I'll like cut the water skin to make sure I got all of it.
Yeah, you gather as much as you can within the basin, and then she will set it down on a counter and say, well, since she was a judge of the Empire, and already cremated, the default for this would be to give her ashes as an offering to Aurelian's soul in a holy fire. Do you believe that a ceremony will need to be held? Do you know of any friends or family?
I
Mm,
don't. Someone might, but I don't.
If you think it's likely that there are people like this, but you don't know the victim well enough to find them, we could make it a public announcement.
Sure.
Is the well?
Huh?
How public is it that people died from this event?
Not especially.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to publicize that.
Could it? Well,
Leave it up to someone that's like more higher up than us.
we can do a little. We can do a little thing. I can take care of it.
You'll
Thank you.
contact the bereaved?
Yes.
All right. Well, then we will likely do the cleansing of the ashes in about 2 days.
All right then.
Okay.
So, what's the plan?
Yeah. How
Well,
do you
I'm
plan on
argumentative.
finding?
Oh, you. My bad.
Are we out of the building?
Yeah.
Oh, I lied. I wasn't going to do that.
Oh, okay.
Based?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Mother Plution, servant of the Empire for 30 years, will receive no public funeral announcement, and her ashes will be
Well,
unceremoniously...
her whole squad died, right?
Yeah.
Mother Plution. There's probably some religious folks that know who that is.
That's
I mean, you guys
probably
know
true.
lots of people other than the people in your party.
That's fair.
Also, you guys know that Corvus knows her, or knew her.
I didn't know
Oh.
that. No.
I believe it's been brought up in the past.
We can go to some big church. We'll know.
Sure. Then would
Probably.
you like to go to the largest church in the largest city in the Empire, or are you just trying to go to a place?
Let's go to the big one.
Alrighty. You head to the Church of the
It was
Indomitable
12th level
Flame,
after all.
the largest cathedral in the world, because again, it's Mithdosica, baby. It can accommodate tens of thousands of people at peak mass, and it has dozens and dozens of braziers compared to most churches' singular one. Each one is about 20 men wide. Such a structure as this isn't often used for worship. It's mostly used for like major ceremonies, and tourism. So you guys walk inside, and you have to walk past, throngs of pilgrims and visiting people, and you have to weave your way between crowds and long lines who are here to give offerings to eventually get to the actual functional part of the church, which runs. You can contact a clerk, get referred to another clerk, get referred to a clerk supervisor, who ultimately will refer you to his superior, which is an archimandrite who runs this section of the church. At this point, it's been about 35 minutes since you entered the church, and you still haven't really explained even what you're here for. But you now sit before a white-robed ecclesiarch with golden highlights along his robes. There's a little golden statue of Aurelian's soul in the nude holding a flaming sword, and the archimandrite will say, "So, you want to know if this Mother Plution has any acquaintances, but it can't be publicly announced that she is deceased."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the gist of it.
Well, she was formerly stationed in Patricia, according to her church records, so I could send to the archimandrite there and have him ask around the local community, but that will take likely weeks.
I see. Could just do that. No reason they have to do the ceremony in 2 days, like the mortician said.
We could also host the ceremony here. She was a judge of the Empire, and based on her church records, a faithful servant for decades.
Could do that too.
I'll reach out to the ecclesiarch and see what he thinks about hosting the ceremony here. And we were not very familiar with Mother Plution, were you?
We weren't. I'll look to Zednius. I think Corvus mentioned her once.
I think so.
Well,
we may
I
have
was
someone
going to
in our
offer
party
to take
who
the
is-
planning off of your hands, since I assume you Lord Judges are busy with the Beast of Atlia.
Yes.
I will
that
say,
would
the
be
fact that this random Archimandrite knows about the Beast of Atlia and that you guys are probably busy with it means that more people know about the details of what your job is than you thought.
Yeah, that's someone else's problem.
Archimandrite's
really.
not that high of a rank. That's like the second lowest rank in the church.
Like I said, that's for the intel people to figure out.
Sure. I more so meant that maybe a lot of people know about this. Maybe word's starting to get out that there's a fucking dragon.
Nah.
Nah, that's ridiculous. Well, the Archimandrite will stand up and shake your hands and say, well, I will deal with this, and thank you very much for your service to the Empire.
Thank you. I'll also, if he doesn't know already, tell him where her ashes are at the moment so he can
He'll
stop
nod
the...
and say, oh yes, that's already been placed inside the church records. And
Oh, all right then.
yeah, you dropped
What?
that off less than 20 minutes ago, and when he went to recover the records, like 35 minutes after that, it was, it is a bureaucracy, but goddamn, sometimes there are benefits to the bureaucracy.
If I was waiting in line for 35 minutes, how did I drop it off 20 minutes ago?
20 minutes before getting into the church, then plus 35 minutes, and then, yeah.
So it took 55 minutes for it to
yeah.
be... Jesus, and it okay.
Yeah, hey, there's benefits to bureaucracy.
All right then. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Alrighty. The two of you guys can head out of the church. And when you guys were going in, you didn't really catch that many glances, mostly because you weren't wearing your judge's badges. You look kind of roughed up from your time traveling. I mean, Maximus has his green painted armor, which isn't that crazy looking. But for some reason, after you guys emerged from like the back rooms, like you're meeting with someone official, a lot of the pilgrims who were going to the massive 30-foot tall golden statue of the emperor, some of them start to look at you, and you start having people begin to approach you, like extending their hands. Like it's actually, first it's just one person, but people follow them, and soon there's a crowd of about 40 people, like obstructing your ability to leave, extending their hands for blessings and holding out like prayer slips to you.
I'll just look at the first one, the one right in front of me.
Yeah, it's an older woman. She looks very tired. Her skin's a bit dirty. She wears the pilgrim's robes that are kind of like dark gray with like very rough wool, and she's holding out the back of her palm saying, "Bless me, Lord Judge, bless me."
Excuse me, Mother, why the sudden attention for us?
You're not Judge of the Empire, are you not?
We are?
Then you've been handpicked by the Emperor. You're no less than a priest.
I'll look at Zednius.
There's about 30 other voices saying, no, bless me, bless me.
We're very busy. We gotta start pushing through them.
Here, I got this. Hold on.
Okay.
I bless you all in the name of our mighty Lord Aurelian Soul.
About half the people kind of go to their knees and start to thank the blessing, but that doesn't get them out of your way. That just gets their knees. The other half want more like direct blessing, so they continue to hold out. And, a crowd is starting to attract a crowd, and it's starting to reach like critical mass.
All right, let's see. Fortunately, I weigh about 300 pounds at the moment, so I'm just gonna start just moving myself through and then like touching the ones near me on the head, just like, you are blessed, you are blessed, you are blessed, you are blessed, you are blessed.
Zednias, are you just following behind like the line he's carving through the crowd?
Yeah.
Okay, then roll a strength check, Maxim. Athletics, actually.
Jesus Christ. The crowd crush is real. Athletics.
Yeah.
I got
Okay,
to 22.
so 90% of the people are normal, and before you even touch them, get out of the way as you like start to walk. About 5%, you like when you tap them on the head, they get out of the way. The other 5%, you just shove like pretty hard. There's not really an age or gender to the specific like type of person that does it. It's just like the fanaticism in their eyes. It's very like borderline scary. And after you shove, about the fourth person, like full strength, like they go flying backwards. People kind of get the vibe, and slowly the crowd it remains following you, but doesn't like surround you. And more importantly, once you start to walk away and people actually see what the crowd was forming for, the crowd gets smaller because people are like, oh, I thought it was going to be like a priest or a cleric or a paladin. It's just some random fucking person. But about 20 people follow you all the way to the entrance before finally breaking off their pursuit and the pilgrims returning to the statue.
Oh, thank
I'm
God
just
I wasn't there.
imagining that I built the blessing into the shove, so it's like, you are blessed! Yeah! Oh, alright, well. Ugh, bit of a sticky spot there. Well, I'm hungry. Off to get food.
Okay. Well, we will cut back to Primius and Corvus. The two of you approach the Great Department of Magic, a very familiar location at this point. You've been here quite a bit. You go to the special clerk's line for important people, and then you skip in line to other people that are also important because you're more important. And the clerk will look up at the two of you and say, hello, how can I help you?
We're looking for a monstrologist to convene with.
Well,
All right.
he is. I have something to. Who's the head of research of the entire Department of Magic?
For the monstrologist request, I'll have to check the duty roster for today, and for the head of all research, that would be High Arcanist Pacentia, on loan to the Department of War in Kujva.
Is she? So she already left again?
She is on loan to the Department of War.
Well, but is she currently here?
I don't know.
Could you check? And if not, get whoever's next in line. I have
could.
important research documents for her.
I understand. I will go check the duty roster of who's in the building today. And she will go and disappear behind the counter. And the two of you wait. And she'll return, and she'll look at Primius and nod and say, there is a monstrologist on staff today. He's currently in research room 3 down in the Grand Scroll Archive. And regarding the head of research at present, both the chief researcher and the deputy researcher are both in the field at present. So there is arcanists in this building who are authorized as researchers, but all leadership are away.
When would any of them return?
Both are on loan to other great departments.
Get them
Indefinitely.
Okay, so who's in? If there's nobody properly like technically in charge, is there anybody who's at least a bit further up the food chain?
The deputy autarch is currently in the building.
That'll do.
All right. And the two of you can split again if you'd like, or do you want to go meet with this monstrologist together?
I'd like to stick together for the time being, just so we both have all the information we can.
Alrighty. Well, the two of you guys can head down to the Great Scroll Repository. It's going to be a lot easier getting a meeting with a random monstrologist than it will the second in command of the entire Department of Magic. So, the Great Scroll Repository, we've discussed it before, is the largest collection of scrolls in the known world. It is a 3-tier, basically basement structure with research rooms like embedded into the wall, and it's fully underground. So you can head up to the 3rd floor and then the 3rd room on the 3rd floor, and you can see like the cloth of the alcove is closed, but there's a little like a card resting in a little slot that indicates the person inside, to say 1 that it's occupied, 2 it's been reserved, 3 this is the person who's inside. And you don't recognize the name, but you do recognize the title underneath, which says Monstrologist.
All right, time to go in then.
No, that's the bathroom. What the fuck?
What was
What?
that?
I was just saying, like, opens the door. It's the bathroom.
Oh,
Oh
no. You open up the
Clearly.
curtain, and inside of the research booth, there is a half-elf man with pointed ears, like kind of close-cropped brown hair. He wears not particularly Mithdosian fashions, and he'll kind of glance over at you as you open up the thing, and when he realizes that, like, you didn't open the wrong thing, like, because he looks at you, you look at him, and then he says, "Hi."
I need your help
Hello.
identifying parts of a monster.
All right.
It's very
And
difficult.
who are you?
My name is Premius, and I am Judge of the Empire.
Oh. Well. Do I need to join you somewhere, or do you have it on you?
Yeah, I will walk up to the table and I will place the shard on the table.
He takes a look at it, like not touching it, just like visually looking at it. Interesting. He glances over at Corvus. I assume you're a judge as well.
Indeed.
Were you both here for the recovery of this artifact?
No. Well, what do you mean by here? Oh, wait, we're present for finding it, yes.
All right. Can you tell me
Well, I
a
believe
bit more about the
Premius is the one who
circumstances
actually
of where
found
you
it.
recovered it?
Um,
The location, the
the
smells,
Atlian Mountains.
the Atlian Mountains. Was this broken on a rocky formation?
This was in an open field and
an open
suspected to be part of the Beast of Atlia.
Were there smaller chips around this larger chunk?
Indeed.
Interesting. He'll actually pick it up now and kind of rotate it in his hand. Look at it. And you want to know what beast this belongs to?
Indeed.
Probably.
I don't think any monstrologist could identify that. I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm sure you've deduced this yourself, but it's a bone. However, it's metal plated. In my field of research, sometimes specimens that we recover in the wild are copper plated to preserve their bone structure when we put them on display. This is actually relatively similar to that, but I don't know what metal this is. It's not iron. It doesn't look like steel. Could be an alloy of some sort. But even the interior edge here, he'll kind of turn around the shard, even the interior edge of the bone is plated, meaning that there's no marrow. There's nothing living in this bone. It's been completely hollowed out, and even the inside has been plated, which I don't know why you would ever do that.
Is that
And-
possible in a living organism?
No, nothing that's alive could have its marrow removed. Not it like this. I mean, assuming this is representative of the larger specimen, perhaps this is a piece of a horn or something that's more decorative. But even then, a minotaur, for instance, if you hollowed out the marrow inside of its horns, would be akin to doing open brain surgery on you or I. It'd be agony.
Is there a transmutation wizard that could help identify the alloy?
You'd probably be better served with an alchemist.
Mm,
There are some employed in the Department of Magic, though.
if you had to guess, what part of the beast would that be a part of?
I don't think I could. I mean, if we're assuming if you say this is recovered in the Atlian Mountains, my assumption would be this is an old specimen, and of the extinct creatures of the mountains that could have anything like this, I would guess we're dealing with some sort of automaton, a sort of construct from the Dwarvish Golden Age, something like that. Something that's meant to look like it were alive, but it isn't. It's just because, again, it looks like bone that's been plated, but that could be an illusion. The only way to figure out would be to scratch away the plating and see what's underneath.
At the mention of automaton, I will give Corvus 1,000 units.
I'll just look back at him. I think we're both thinking the same thing.
Well,
That's actually
this is-
super very, very helpful.
very, very helpful. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
So, time to research the Dwarven Golden Age, guys.
Well, while Maximus and Zednius have a lunch date and Grania sits in the villa you've been granted talking to the Fluttering One, the two of you descend into the archives and begin to read various scrolls in the Dwarvish Golden Age. For the sake of limiting my yapping, the overall structure, the overall known structure of recorded history begins with the Elvish Empire. No one knows what came before. No one knows how long it was around. That is just not known knowledge. But eventually it fell, and that's kind of where history starts. The period following the Elven collapse has a ton of different names. In Mithdosica, it is called the Demon Strife, a hellish period in which a lot of like national myths take place, where there was literally, like, according to modern Mythosian historiography, there were no states, there was no governments, it was just like a hell and hell. It was just hell. However,
Hell and hell.
yeah, it was like the worst time to be alive. Humans were killing humans, demons were killing humans. There was no like central order. It was awful. However, about 1,000 years, again, very roughly, the dwarves basically conquered the planet. Now, they didn't really do it properly. They remained under their mountains and built this incredible society. And a lot of technology that's attributed to them, people don't really know whether it's from them or the elves, but like things that are known to exist, like specimens have been found, would be airships, like conscious automatons that can have like full conversations, steam machines that operate autonomously, underground highways that connect like opposite sides of the continent, things like that. I think that's a broad overview. Obviously, the Golden Age ended eventually and the whole thing shattered, but yeah, that's the broad overview.
Okay.
I think I want to try and contact some of the Red Mountain Dawi. They could yield more information. Show them.
Good luck. No one's talked to one in 100 years.
Well, I mean, if anyone can get through to them, I feel like we're probably the closest shot.
Just to provide context to members of the party who may not know, the modern Dawi are separated into 3 groups: Red Mountain, Blue Mountain, and Silver Mountain. Blue and Silver are basically the same thing. It refers to dwarves living on the western continent. Red Mountain refer to the dwarves living on the eastern continent. And for about 100 to 200 years, roughly, I think it's 180 specifically, no one has had any contact with the Red Mountain Dawi. Most people assume they killed themselves somehow, much like the Empire did. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Last session, I believe we mentioned that there was a research being done on an excavation site of dwarvish stuff in the northeastern plains,
Yeah,
close
by
to
the Son of the Dragon.
Delian League. Yes.
Yep.
Where exactly was that again?
I was north of a city called Belko, which is... I can move us to the world map. It's a pretty big find because they've been getting lots of powerful magical items from it. That's the reason anyone even cares about it. This here is the city of Belko. It's somewhere in this area. Obviously, the exact location is not widely known.
And this Gotaluka is part of the Delian League, no?
Yeah, that's a part of the Delian League.
Okay. Okay, so maybe going to the Delian, like maybe this might be related. Is there chances related? Or am I smoking crack cocaine?
And Primius isn't even telling you. Sad to go. Is he smoking crack cocaine, Primius?
It's very important to know.
Is he on that Health Lake pack? Well, he said beer.
I must be,
Lamau.
clearly.
Well, I think after doing some final research, you will find your stomach begin to growl. But you have one final meeting. Primius is off studying the archives, but you have managed to get a meeting with the interim deputy autarch, because as a courier comes to get you, you learn that the deputy autarch is also on loan to another great department, is also currently in the
Jesus
field,
Christ.
but they needed someone to run the department, therefore they found someone. So you're not meeting with the actual deputy autarch, you're meeting with a replacement, basically, until he gets back.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, he has all the authority as the actual one would. So you make your way up, and eventually you find yourself in a incredible office. You're used to meeting with Department of Civility, Department of Faith. These offices are generally very ostentatious, very centered around imperial power. Civility and faith really are just two sides of the same coin. They both represent law. One of them represents religious law, the other one represents civil law. Magic is not any of those. It represents scholarship, and this room shows it. There are over at least 30 bookshelves in this room, which is a ungodly fortune. Not to mention some of these titles are, you just recognize them as hyper expensive, single edition printings, first printings of popular books. There's also a large glass sculpture in the center of the room that causes this kind of mirrored effect where you end up seeing yourself from like 50 different perspectives. Like, this room is a work of art. And the man sitting behind the desk is only a couple years older than you. He wears blue robes, which would indicate his speciality in the school of, I believe it's abjuration. And he'll nod at you as you enter the office, and he'll kind of see you looking around and say, "Welcome, Lord Judge."
Thank you for seeing me on such short notice. I have to say this is an impressive collection.
Yes, the autarch has very good taste. I'm glad to be Deputy Autarch. I'm glad to be filling his shoes for the next couple of months. So, what is the problem that you're facing?
I'll start. He's wearing blue robes, which signifies he's what type of
Abjuration?
abjuration? Okay.
Yeah. Also, the fact he has colored robes indicates that before his promotion, he was probably just a normal arcanist. Like, he's probably like a 5th or 6th level wizard, somewhere in there.
So he's like way less powerful than me.
Yeah, I mean, all the people that were really powerful are currently on loan to other departments.
Yeah. I was hoping to speak to the head of research here, but where I'm a judge, as you of course know. We were part of a search party into the Atlian Mountains, and we found
you're that band of judges.
No.
You're the one that
No.
Cato assigned to go recover the body and the etchings.
Yes.
Yes. He sent the Master of Judges sends daily updates to the other great departments because this is such high interest to the Emperor.
Yes. Well, I thought that you might want to have these records that I personally made these not etchings. What do you call
May
them?
I see them?
Yeah.
He'll
course,
kind of
I'll
clear
put
off
them
his desk so there's room. Yeah. So you took a 9-panel etching, so it's like 9 separate pages, and it ends up taking up most of the desk, and he'll kind of look down on it for a while. That is awfully remarkable, isn't it?
I think you're being I think that might be an understatement, to say the least.
Just that
This is
sub-circle there is... It's probably
I've
more
never seen
complicated than
like
anything
it.
I can cast.
I must admit, I think this. I'm in the same shoes here, which rarely happens to me these days.
Interesting. Well, if you don't mind, I could hand this off to our scribing department. They could make probably 20, 30 copies and then return the originals to you.
That would be great.
It's good these pages are lacquered. Something like this could be quite helpful. We wouldn't want any scribal errors resulting in them not being functional. Have you tried recreating any of these to test their effects? Or have you not had them long
haven't
enough?
gotten the chance yet, and I'd like to do it in a safe setting, since I don't know exactly what effects I might provoke.
Smart. He'll kind of bundle together the papers very, very gently. This is probably the first person you've met who has the level of arcane knowledge to understand just how valuable these are, and he touches them very gently as he bundles them together. I'll have these sent down to the scribing department and speak to the autarch about prioritizing this. I'll have copies sent to High Arcanist Pacentia, though. Well, we'll see if she can get to it. I will be able to send these to your residence by probably later this evening. Yeah, scribal work can take a while, especially with something this detailed.
Of course.
Well, thank you for bringing this to my attention.
Of course, it's my duty.
And High Arcanist Pacentia gave you access to some teleportation glyphs outside of the city. Did she give you any other ones?
She gave me one more. Let me check my notes real quick. One in Kushva that might by this time be outdated, though.
I see. Well, to be honest, it is department policy not to give any glyphs out to people working for other departments. He was a bit gung-ho about that.
There is a edict to help.
I am familiar with the edict. Either way, that is to say that we will make sure those glyphs are maintained, if those are the two that you were given. We don't want anything bad happening during an attempted teleportation, of course, but I would ask that if you do request further ones, escalate the request to the autarch. As I'm sure you can understand, in times of war, these are highly sensitive.
Naturally.
Well, I'll have these sent along once the scribing work is finished, and thank you again.
Of course.
Alrighty. Well, Corvus and Permeus, the two of you can meet back up in the lobby of the Great Department of Magic, having finished your... Well, not so much finished, but more so just begun, but your bodies are still bodies, and you require food and sustenance and sleep. So, you make your way to back to your residence, and you order some of the servants you received on loan to make you food. And at around the time that you guys are finally getting served dinner, Maximus and Zednius return, and Grania, who is talking to the Fluttering One, kind of gathers, and you guys have an impromptu dinner to share any information and figure out where you're going from here.
Yeah, I'll fill them in on everything, and
yeah, especially the construct theory is big.
So what now?
That's a good question. I'm gonna receive the papers within the day, right?
Yeah, probably.
Sure hope it's not just probably. I'm worried I'm not gonna get them back.
Does anyone have any leads on dwarvish technology or know where we can find a dwarf?
Dwarvish technology?
All I know is the
Uh,
excavation site.
did we see any dwarves in that big giant meeting Cato had?
Yeah.
Amongst the judges?
Yeah, there were dwarves amongst the judges. There's also a very vibrant dwarvish community in Ravinium. It has one of the largest in the Empire. But these are not Red Mountain. I mean, they technically are Red Mountain dwarves, but they've lived in the Empire for literal centuries, like 3 generations, which is like 600 years.
Well, there's some dwarves, there's the dwarvish enclave in Ravinium.
I mean, dwarves who have access to information about the Golden Age of Dawi.
The Golden Age of Home and what now?
Base? Dwarves who know what happened 2,000 years ago.
Well, I mean, they are dwarves, so I suppose that'd be like you knowing what happened to your great-grandfather? Do you know what happened to your... Well, not you. Bad example.
Well, to be fair, I think this is a lot more distant than great grandfather.
They live about 400 years.
He's a
Wait,
really
they
old
do?
dwarf. That's like 90. They live much more commonly to about 300.
Yeah, they live to about 300, so, great-great-grandfather.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
you
like
did
a-
the math there. 2,000 years divided by 300. Also, it's
Yeah, it's
completely
like
wrong
a
because it wasn't 2,000
seven-
years. It was
like
4,500.
7
generations.
generations.
He's RPing. Maximus is
True,
he's
true. He's
RPing.
RPing. True.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Alex. Shut up. Do you know anyone who knows anything about 2,000 years ago?
Well, I have-
Historian, but we're looking for a dwarven historian.
I think most of that is just straight up lost information.
Well, there is a vibrant dwarvish community in the West that communicates with their neighbors all the time.
Holy shit.
Is this the dwarf going crossover?
I mean, yeah, and it could be if you guys wanted to go that way. I mean, it all depends what leads you pursue. But there is a single, so there's, in the West, there is, you'd have to research if you want any more specifics beyond this, but there are multiple dwarvish holds that are in, like, constant communication with the outside. They're, like, trading partners. They're involved in politics. Like, they are just nations. There's multiple in the West that you could contact.
We want to
Uh,
try and do that then?
That seems like our best, most immediate play.
Alright.
We'll have to go to the Department of Magic for a sending spell.
Wait, who else will we talk to? I guess, yeah.
Point.
Any other ideas?
Hmm.
Do you think this small piece would be significant enough for Legend Lore to actually yield something?
Say again? You're
It
talking
would
about
yield something, but I don't know how valuable. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
oh yeah?
I was probably going to say the exact same thing you were. Let's just try something and see where
I
it
was
gets
also
us.
going to say, other things you could do are you could literally just go walking around the mountains like dead ass. It's unlikely that this glyph comes from like a vacuum. It just seems unlikely that something this complicated could be developed by a culture without any other like
I thought that
precursor.
Kato forbade us from going back into the Adler Mountains.
He said he didn't want to send you hunting the dragon, like, back into the mountains. But he did specifically mention there's another group of judges currently in the mountains looking for anything.
Well, I guess it's expedition time.
That's one option. Secondly, you could try to reach out towards other global archmages. Obviously, you did some to varying degrees of success, but you're always doing it through the intermediary of sending, which is a horrible form of communication. There's also Eastern Valerosan archmages you could reach out to, like the Grand Vizier of the City-State, or any of the archmages of the Delian League. You could also try to, like, analyze the material properties of this shard through, like, an alchemist or something. Or you could move on from the shard entirely. There's lots of avenues to approach it from.
I thought it was nighttime.
It is
not?
nighttime.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go to bed and hopefully start dealing with this in the morning.
Alrighty. Well,
Get a vision from Aurelia and Sala will tell me what to do.
following a dinner powwow, you all head off to get some sleep and do so successfully. Though for some of you, it's probably more fitful than others. The following morning, Maximus, when you wake up bright and early for your various workouts and exercises and a brisk morning walk to breathe in the crisp Mithdosian air, as you get back from your walk, a courier is waiting outside of the front door of the villa. The master servant is there, also waiting outside, and the master servant will bow to you and say, "Lord Judge Maximus, there's a letter here from the Imperial Postal Service for you."
There is?
Yes, and the courier will hold out a letter.
Alright then.
Once he's seen that you've received it, the courier will run off, and the master servant will give him a tip, and you can head on inside. What locale are you reading this letter?
I guess I'll go, like, in the dining room or some shit.
Yeah, you sit down in a cushy chair in the dining room. A servant brings you some morning tea, and you can flip it open. And I'm going to give you access to this handout while I read the talk to the rest of the party about waking up. It's kind of long.
Sick,
so.
alright. Okay, yeah.
It's in handouts now. You should be able to read it. As for the rest of you, you wake up later inside of the day. Not quite in the early hours. But as you do so, you all kind of, head downstairs. Corvus, you assigned your apprentice named Tertius, I think this is his name. Titius. You assigned Titius to be doing spell research, and it has been not quite a week since you assigned him to do that, but it has been some time. Do you want him? He obviously he's not staying at your villa. He's staying at a separate place in the city where he's taking care of his own accommodations. But because yeah. Anyways, yeah, you had him sent for. He's come to the city. He's working on spell research. Do you want him to continue working on that full time?
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, in the morning, you receive a lacquered set of 9 pages. These are not the originals. These are scribed copies. You can tell because in the bottom left they have the scribe mark of who scribed them. But giving them like the most critical eye you can, they do seem basically perfect. They must have really like put them in this like the scribe like sweatshop because these are relatively high quality and turned over the next day. So they did a good job, even if they had to work with very limited time constraints. But you don't have the originals anymore.
Unfortunate, but that's as good as it gets. I'm gonna start researching on that.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Corvus. You currently have 2 long-term research projects that are both like relevant to the party, but not many of them can help you with them because even the other spellcasters are not wizards. They're not arcane spellcasters. They're just kind of vibe spellcasters. So how do you want to do this? What's your plan? Because to research either of the things you're pursuing would require minimum months. I think your spell research is what, 20 weeks or something like that total?
Let me check. Yeah, I think it's 20 weeks. I'm at 6 out of 20.
Yeah, so that's 14 weeks of that, and I mean this glyph is a work of art, so this could take way longer, but just to get a surface level thing could take several months. I don't need you to answer this now, but keep that in the back of your mind of where you can carve out time to work on these things if you think they're valuable and should be figured out before you go hunting for the beast. Ethan, have you gotten the chance to read over the thing?
Yes, I did.
Alrighty. Well then, as the next day starts on December 16th, so in the middle of December, it's pretty cold. What are we doing today? What's the plan?
I'm gonna find an alchemist.
Okay. First thing in the morning, Prometheus, you head out with the bone shard, metal shard, whatever it is, and make your way to the Department of Magic. You get sent to a alchemist's office. You have to wait because the alchemist isn't up yet. Maybe shouldn't have been first thing in the morning. And eventually, you'll get in a room with an alchemist. He is an older man, like 50s or 60s. He's technically a part of the alchemist guild, but he's contracted to the... It's a whole thing. Anyways, as you enter, he'll give a nod and say, "Good morning."
Good morning. Would you help identifying a shard of a supposed animal, or construct, more specifically?
All right, then.
I will set it on his desk.
He kind of squints at it. He takes out, like, jeweler's glasses, those ones with, like, multiple levels of magnification, and he'll kind of zoom in and look at it. He'll then take a knife and begin to approach the sample. He's clearly going to try to split off a smaller piece.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that'll, like, destroy something.
Sure. With a spike, a knife, and a hammer, he breaks off a small piece of the metal. It doesn't so much bend, it like completely snaps, like very, very brittle when you apply enough force to it. He'll take that little piece, he'll walk over to a piece of glassware, he'll put it at the base. He will then pour in a kind of like greenish solution into the glass container, and he'll kind of sit back and begin to watch it, and he'll flip over an hourglass.
What does this tell you?
Well, the first thing to determine will be what type of metal we're dealing with. This should be able to degrade any sort of copper-based alloy. Obviously, the color doesn't denote copper, but if there's any copper in solution, this should reveal its presence. We'll essentially run it through a series of various baths of liquid to try to determine the constituent elements of the alloy. Once we know what the alloy is made of, we can figure out things like melting temperature or methods of delamination.
If it were to turn out for a specific alloy, would you be able to, off the top of your head, recognize any sort of automatons that were made with that alloy, or what?
No.
Old?
I've never made an automaton before. I don't think anyone has in millennia.
Could you identify how old this piece of
No.
material is? Alright.
No carbon dating, Sanj?
There's some things I can tell you. For instance, if it were red metal, which it isn't, to be clear, but if it were, I could tell you that it's at least 2,000 years old, because no one can make it anymore. If it were mithril, I could say it's likely from one of 3 places, because that's where it occurs naturally. But for something like this, I'm not sure. I think the best I'll be able to tell you is the constituent elements, and then, if you're lucky, we'll be able to completely delaminate it, which means we can remove the outer plating but keep the underlying material if it really is bone and not just imitation.
Fascinating.
This is going to take a couple of hours, though. You can watch if you wish. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure to him it's pretty interesting.
Of course it is. He's an alchemist.
Yippee, yippee, I love chemicals, yippee! Fucking twink. Let's see. What was the other thing I was gonna do? I was gonna... Dude, I literally said it like 30... How could I not remember it?
Dementia.
That he's cooked.
It makes you feel better, Blake. No one else in this call remembers either, so...
It's true.
Oh. I think that might make him feel worse, in fact.
No, because that means we all have dementia.
That's just because we weren't listening to, his...
See, so we were gonna...
While you think, I'm gonna cut to Ethan.
It's understandable.
What would you like to do in regards to that letter?
Who went with us to Gela Isle? I can't remember if Zednius was zapped or not
I
still.
was there.
Granny and Zedny were both there.
Zednians.
Alright, they were both there.
In
Alright.
fact, they're also both home at the moment because Corvus is in his room studying and Grimius walked off, but Zednius and Granny are both puttering about the villa.
Yerp.
Yerp!
I'll go find Grania, I think.
Granny, what are you doing?
Shitting. Farting.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think the weight of everything that's been happening really sets on her, so she's probably mostly just like waiting for direction. She's not really sure what she's supposed to be doing.
Sure. Maximus, you walk up to Grania's room. The door is like slightly open because she's not like sleeping or whatever. She's just laying on her bed looking out the window. She's like, you see, she has like this focus to her face because she's currently having a psychic conversation. But from your perspective, she's just like kind of focused. But then when like you knock on the door frame, she'll just kind of like turn around.
I got a letter from Pushtin. Let's see his first name. Zemrov Pushtin from Gela Isle.
Do I know that?
The
You met him, yeah. I don't mean if you don't remember him, that's fine. But you did meet him.
Oh, that was the scholar person that they went with?
Professor, yeah.
No, I don't think Granny remembers him at all then.
Fair.
You're
Just
signing
no
up,
re-
okay?
Oh, he's offering his help. I was gonna Salernum. That's a whole different city. Right, Alex?
Yeah, it's in Cispontar Solaria, so it's about halfway to Nasius, maybe 3/4 the way to Nasius.
How were we given specific instructions to stay in the city or sort of just pursue leads as
Literally,
we wished?
he gave you no instructions. He said, I don't know what the fuck to do. Do anything. Other than
sick,
try to go
okay.
kill the beast.
This counts as doing anything.
Yeah, and also, the don't kill the beast part wasn't a written order, so it was like general advisement. Don't do that.
General advice. All right. I was going to go to Salernum to see what help or usefulness he could provide. Considering you and Zednius knew him, I was gonna ask if you wanted to come along. Although I don't think I'm gonna ask. I think I'm gonna ask Zednius.
When you say that, she'll like look like she's in thought for a moment. But then she'll just look back to you and say, are you asking me to join you?
Yeah, I'm asking if you want to come along.
So I'm sure.
Sick.
Well, the Pegasus is back from the mountains, so
Let's go.
yeah, you can head down to the stables and yeah.
Do you have a fear of heights? I'm looking at Grania for this.
She'll shake her head no.
Ah, excellent.
Has that ever been tested, Grania? Oh, I guess it has, because you were. I feel like you're in the boughs of like the highest trees of the Ard Reach, which are super fucking tall, and yeah, you were freaked out at that. Okay, yeah, okay, maybe. Well, then, yeah, Maximus, you head out to the stables to check in on the Pegasus. It's fine. It doesn't need any maintenance ever. And Blake, did you think of the other thing you wanted to do, or did you forgore?
Nope, I forgore.
Nice. Well, you head back to the estate to... Well, I think, honestly, you're waiting for the alchemist. You're just kind of, like, puttering around, and then you get a mental ping from the Pegasus that Maximus is, like, getting a saddle ready and stuff. And then you can, you know, walk back to the villa. By the time you get back, Maximus and Grania are outside of the stable. They've kind of guided the Pegasus to an open patch of grass beside the stable. Maximus has his, like, saddle ready. It's clear he's headed out.
To Maximus?
Oh, hi, Primus. We're going to Salernum.
Is there, I guess, a lead in Salernum?
Well, I got a letter from someone I worked with back on Gela Isle, scholar, I think is the best word for
Mm.
him. He was supposedly, evidently, word of, well, the beast and our job has spread. When we were taking care of, is it Ecclesiarch, Alex, or is that not the right? I feel like you said some long word.
Who?
The random bozo in the big church we talked to.
Archimandrite.
The Archimandrite knew about it. So, word of this has spread a lot. But for better or for worse, he offered his help. So, I'm gonna go and have a chat with him. See if I can
Fantastic.
get him. Is there anything specific you want me to get him working on? I know you and I should talk to Corvus before I leave too. See if there's anything he wants.
Well, the one thing we kind of narrowed it in on was it could be an automata made by dwarves. We saw evidence of this, of the those things we fought made of magma, and the, I guess, monstrologist me and Corvus met with concurred that a similar idea of that would probably be part of something not alive but not quite dead, more mechanical in nature.
Alright, so the automatons, the things that exploded when you blew up, that's what you're talking about?
Yes.
Alright, and then you think the dragon might be one?
Not the exact kind. An automaton is just a thing, a metal thing that walks around, does its thing. So
I'll look down at myself covered in metal.
yes,
Am
but
I
your
a-
skin. No, your flesh is not metal. I could peel off your armor.
Oh, you could. Could the dragon be an automaton?
That's the hypothesis we're rolling with, is the creature is fully made of metal.
Hmm. Interesting. Only made of metal. Alright.
Really.
And yeah, you just want to know more about automatons and such?
Yeah, the people who made them were the dwarves from a long time ago.
Yes, the Golden Age ones, right? I do know
Mhm.
some, I grew up in Ravinium, hung out with a lot of dwarves.
Hmm.
That is
Very
actually
nice.
one area I'm more knowledgeable in than most.
Actually,
Alright.
when you fought in the Deadwood,
Yeah.
were there any reanimated beasts that, I guess, those constructs, were they ever, I guess, metallic in nature?
Some of the skeletons had armor,
Hmm.
but as you've said before, no, mostly just a lot of plants. Plants
Okay.
and dead things that weren't so dead anymore.
My apologies. I was wondering if necromancy was at play, but I should probably
Oh.
focus on the primary objective.
Oh, I mean, it could be necromancy, but the necromancy I faced was nothing like that. You all know more about that, so I'll leave that to you, but it was nothing like that. Alright, I'm gonna go find Corvus.
Alright.
Yeah, it's not hard to find Corvus. He has been hunched in the same position since about 8 in the morning. He has been staring at, like... So, Corvus, what I'm picturing is like the the Always Sunny in Philadelphia frame, like your walls covered in the sigils and you have like sheets of paper trying to figure out, like, it doesn't make sense. Well, what is this shit? What am I even looking at? Just trying to like parse it. Would you say Corvus is quite that disorganized? Is he more organized about it? What do you picture?
I think he's so usually he's very organized, but I think with
Yeah.
something like this, he's gotten a little like he's gotten real deep into it, so he's a
Yeah.
bit more disorganized than normally.
Yeah,
for sure.
half a dozen books checked out from the like Department of Magic on various forms of magic and like Elvish for Dummies and like every possible connected like piece of material. Well then, Maximus, you step inside. Corvus is like standing, looking down at papers covering his desk, smoking on his pipe.
Hey Corvus, I'm going to Salernum to meet with a scholar I worked with back on
Yeah,
Gela
yes,
Isle.
Selenum. Maybe that he lives as they said no. Wait, sorry, what you saying?
I'm going to Salernum to meet with a scholar I worked with on Gela Isle. He offered his help. Heard we were working on this. Is there anything you want me to specifically ask him about or have him look into?
He's not an Arcanist, is he?
Alex, see, no, I never. No, not at all. Not really.
Well,
But he might know some. Probably does, in fact. I could take him a copy of this stuff. Have him look into it if you have a copy.
no.
All right.
This should not get in the wrong hands. And I don't know your contact that well.
I trust him.
No offense, but in terms of magic, you're not that knowledgeable.
No,
Damn.
certainly not. All right. Is there anything you want me to ask him? Maybe I
Has
could.
he ever heard of plasma?
All right. Ask him about plasma.
Or anything like it? I'll describe plasma to him for a second.
Wait, is this the thing they just came up with? Like,
Yes, but just because they came up with a name for it just now doesn't mean it didn't exist previously in a different name in some
okay,
history
alright.
book that he might know about.
Fair enough. Plasma,
And also
like,
ask him about anything about the
Oh.
Atlian Mountains and the history, specifically in relation to dwarven civilization, Golden Age dwarves.
Oh, all right. That would actually probably be a good thing. He's big
This is
into
a
the
genuine
history stuff and
question,
what.
Ethan. Do you remember what specialization Professor Pushton was? Like, do you remember his title at all?
No, Megalol.
No fucking
Nice.
clue.
That's awesome.
Hold on. Let me consult the letter. Maybe he
His
put it in there.
specialization was shitting his pants whenever shit got real.
You have no idea how true that is.
That is true.
I was there.
Wait,
But
maybe
he
you
did-
do. I'm
he
sorry.
did-
I forget
I
you
was there,
watched.
Severus.
I forget. Oh, that's right.
He was
yeah.
playing Severus.
I
Yeah,
forgot about
Severus
that.
is there. Yeah, I mean, he did say what his field of research was like 50 times in that arc, but it's been a while, so.
Yeah, you think I fucking paid attention?
Well,
Well,
I assume you did at the
absolutely.
time, to be honest. I bet if I'd asked you when we were still in the Gela Isle arc, you would have known, but it's been like 2 years, so.
Yeah, it has been a long time.
Remember this tiny thing from 2 years ago?
Again, my day.
Oh, fuck
On
yourself.
Gela
Atlan
Isle.
Mountains, history, and relationship to the Golden Age dwarves specifically. I look up at him for confirmation. Ask about the Atlian Mountains history and the relationship to the Golden Age dwarves, if any.
Yeah.
All right. You can see I'm scribbling all of this down. You want me to take a copy and show it to the High Arcanist of the city?
I give it to the highest person in the Department of Magic. I think if they are worth their salt, they already have copies, and if not, then no need to.
Alright, if you trust the bureaucracy that much, who am I to dissuade you?
Not trusting in the bureaucracy and more about. Nah, whatever. I'm sorry. I've slept like 3 hours intermittently and had half a pot of coffee, and I think there's more, and I still haven't figured out the first inch of this circle.
Well, Well, I always did my best thinking on a full stomach and a good nap. Recommend you try it.
I don't need sleep. I need answers.
I've heard that before. It doesn't matter.
Yes, yes.
From the Big
I
Bang
mean, but
Theory.
you need sleep to get answers, so don't forget that.
Do you think these glyphs have something to do with dreams?
I don't know. Do you dream about glyphs? I was sort of imagined that's what you folk dreamed about.
Sometimes.
Then maybe.
I will look into it, question mark?
You asked me.
Good luck on your trip to...
I will say, Corvus, in your
Saladin?
current mental state, when he mentions dreams, you do think about the fact that a year ago a scream started, which caused psychic screams, and now a year later, this is all happening.
my
And
God.
also, there were monsters
It's all-
coming down from the
I'm-
hills. I mean,
yeah, I'll start furiously scribbling down shit.
Well, glad I could help. I'm off, and I'll get the fuck out of there.
yeah, you
Or he
leave as you hear
asks
the
me
scratching of
any
his
more
quill.
questions.
Alrighty, well, you head out to the Pegasus where Grania has been not so patiently waiting. She actually ran off, but has since returned. And as you're mounting up onto the Pegasus, Maximus, and you reach a hand down to help her up, you realize you have a helmet. She does not. You are about to fly hundreds of miles.
Eat some bugs, bozo.
Obviously, on a normal horse, this isn't a problem, but
Let's see here. Hang on a moment here, Granny. I think I have just the thing.
So just kind of
You're
tilt
gonna-
her head.
You're gonna need something to cover your face.
She'll like,
Yeah.
Does her cloak have a hood or no?
yeah, it has a hood.
She'll like take the side part of her hood and put it on the front part of her face.
That's not gonna do. That's gonna blow off. I'll be back in 2 minutes this time. I promise. And I'll run up and grab the like helmet I got when I was 10 that I still have.
Yeah, the
my
old,
room?
the Little Legionnaires boys when you were still an orphan,
Yeah,
and you're like, I'm gonna be a soldier.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly
Yeah, it's
that.
basically a tin bucket.
Does it have a chin strap and a face covering though?
And yeah, it does have all those things, and it is very well sized for Granny. You got it when you were
Excellent.
10.
All right.
And you are much
Excellent.
bigger than her.
Take those.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll come back down.
Yeah.
I'll plonk it on. Oh, that's right. I do know she's. This should do fantastically, and I'll hand it to her.
She'll kind of like look it over and like flip it over and look inside of it, and then she just kind of looks back at you.
Is there an issue?
She'll shake her head now.
Oh, all right. Okie dokie. Yeah, you're gonna want to keep that on while we're up there. I flew for the first time without my helmet, and my protein intake for the day was well exceeded.
She'll seem confused by the statement, but she'll nod.
Off we go then. Oh, what's she wearing?
Yeah.
Like is she properly bundled against the cold?
Not particularly. It's just her Imperial battle robes with her leather armor underneath it.
Do you have a
Yeah.
jacket of some kind?
I think she does. So she'll
think
shake
so
her head
either.
now.
This all does seem probably extremely weird to just a normal person who's never. It's like, okay, you're gonna be really cold and you're gonna fly 100 miles an hour. No, I'm not joking.
Yeah, and you're gonna get bugs in your teeth. Maybe a bird's gonna collide with us.
Are you fine with a horse blanket? That should do.
I don't think she knows what that is, so
I'll
Well.
point it. I'll point at Mickey, who has a horse blanket on right now.
Yeah, it's a big old quilt that's like sculpted for the horse with like holes for the eyes and stuff, and it just keeps them nice and cozy and warm in the winter, which it is currently.
would that work? Wouldn't it come off while they're flying?
Wrap it down.
Granny
It also-
shrug.
It also helps stop you from flying off. I kind of forget about that sometimes. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
true. Well, she's still going to be sitting on your saddle, so
Or
she won't be
you
removable.
in for it or something, and it's not one per person.
No, I mean, so horses can accommodate 2 people, and this
But I mean,
saddle.
the saddle, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the saddle is a magical saddle. It can shrink and grow in size to accommodate multiple animals. It is one of its features. So it can certainly accommodate like 2 people. 3 people, then you're hanging off the back, and that doesn't really work anymore. But 2 should be fine.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll get like a pony-sized horse blanket from somewhere.
Yeah, and you can use the little strings that come with them to tie it around various points of Granny to make sure it doesn't come off when you guys are zooming. And theoretically, based on your limited experience, you think you'll be able to get to Solarium in 1 day, which if you do, is about 3 times faster than a normal horse. But also, you've never had to navigate by air before, and you're not sure whether it'll be easier or harder. So I guess that'll be a fun little experiment for Maximus.
I could probably just follow a road, right? Or
You could,
is there a river? Is there like a river that?
No, but there is a coastline.
Uh,
I think the reason this is weird for you is because think about how people viewed the world before the existence of satellite imagery. The world was experienced from ground level, and not only that, it was experienced as a series of waypoints. You didn't actually have a very good mental map, and even in real life, like in travel logs that existed in ancient Rome, the travel log would not say go 250 miles. It would say go to this city, then this city, then this city. So I don't think you actually even know where Salernum is from like a geographic standpoint. You just know that if you go east to Tarraco, there will be signs that then point you to Salernum. So I think roads is probably the most unobtrusive way to do it, because I just don't think you would know how to take a straight line without like missing the city.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, which will add some distance to the trip, quite a bit actually. It is what it is.
Can I see a map of?
Sure.
No,
All right.
you're blind.
You're blind.
All right, so there's Salernum, and we're down in Mythos. Oh, I can't just follow the coastline.
You could, but then you'd have to know when to turn.
Well, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty easy. It's just whatever that bay starts heading northeast.
Yeah, the Romulan Bay.
Yeah, that. I just go.
You have a compass?
Let's see. Fortunately, I have the sun.
East.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that it's as accurate as a compass at all times.
Well, yeah, but like if you have to head generally east, the sun is good enough. Not, I have to head 92 degrees due east.
Admittedly, Salernum will also stand out quite a bit compared to the surrounding countryside.
Yeah, okay.
I can just go to whatever. I can go to whatever river that is, and then just follow that river.
You can also go to any city with walls, because walled cities are incredibly limited. So.
Yep. Okay. Follow coastline. Go east, slightly south until I hit the river. Then just follow the river until I get to Salernum.
Well, while he's doing all that, Zednius, other members of the party are testing shit, alchemists, and researching, and going on flying field trips. What are you up to?
So
Whatever Daddy wants.
I've got.
What the fuck? Oh, is it
What?
Tullius? He means Tullius.
Yeah, I guess I can do my communication with Tullius with the ring.
Sure.
Is it back and forth or is it one way? I forget.
That's a sending spell, so it'd go back and forth.
Okay. I guess just see if he knows. Yeah, I'm gonna send a message that says we're at a loss on this beast of Atlia. Do you have any idea what it could be?
Yeah, the reply takes a couple of moments, and then he says, I'm not entirely sure what it is either, but this is proving an excellent opportunity. Lots of promotions being handed out.
Was Tullius' answer imaginable? No clue.
That's the
but
full
I'm
answer.
making money off of it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Good moment to help me with my stuff.
What does Premius have? Who has the scale? I want to see if I can
Prometheus has
use
that,
any
yeah.
information. Who?
Prometheus has the bone shard, yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I want to go to him and then, get the update on what's up with it, and then see if Legend Lore will really give us what we need.
Okay, well, we can skip forward to the afternoon when the alchemist is finished with his tests on the bone. So Primeus and Zednius, the two of you can make your way back to the Department of Magic, to this alchemist's office. He has the shard as you gave it to him. There are 2 chunks that he removed. They're not big, like they're slivers, just enough to test the material. And he has this little tray, like this wooden tray, and he'll hold it. And you see one of the pieces, one of the tiny pieces he cut off is bone. There is no metal on it anymore. The other piece is like corroded, heavily corroded. And then the center piece is untouched because he only fucked with the 2 little pieces he cut off. And when he sees the 2 of you enter his laboratory, he turns off he begins to pull some billows to heat up a thing he was doing. And then he'll walk over to the 2 of you and point at the tray and say, hello, Lord Judge. See you brought a friend. Well, I finished my tests, and it's fascinating, let me tell you.
Go on.
Well,
That's not the way you gave it to him, right?
That is the way I gave it to him, but...
Oh.
Well, I did take off an extra shard, Lord Judge, but are you both familiar with the metallurgy in general, or should I give a real basic primer?
Give a basic primer.
All right. Iron is the most popular metal used in construction, bar none. Bronze is a close second for its simplicity to work with and accessible in the environment, but bronze is an alloy. Copper is the constituent component. This whole sliver, is an alloy of steel, which is another alloy. It's an alloy of steel, titanium, which is not an alloy, it is a metal, and mithril. Now, it took me a while to figure that out because this sliver here bears none of the individual components of any of these things, but I was lucky enough to find the proportion of it that is actually steel, because steel, while it is an alloy of iron, still has some of the underlying weaknesses of iron because it's such a large component. It rusts, for instance. It has those weaknesses. So this shard here has steel, a relatively easy to acquire thing, mithril, in a way that I've never seen it forged before, and titanium, which, I'll put it this way. There is titanium in the Empire, but it is more valuable than platinum, it's more valuable than mithril, it's more valuable than red metal. The only time I've seen anything larger than a thimble made with it was in a very valuable piece of jewelry being made for the Imperial family. So this whole shard and whatever greater creature it belongs to is plated with this stuff. I mean, we're talking a walking treasury here. But all 3 of these materials are known. Steel, titanium, mithril have been forged with for thousands of years. So that brings us to this piece, and his finger will land on the bone shard. That is a piece of bone with the plating removed. Now, unfortunately, it was not chemical, it was manual, which means doing this on the full shard would take a very long time. But the densities and the hardnesses of those 3 metals are all known, so the constituent alloy can be roughly derived, and so I was able to find a tool that was able to pick it away slowly. Now, that was very dense, but I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Can scrying be cast on the piece of bone?
I don't see why not. But I'm not an arcanist.
Very well. Do you know any history of metals?
Fair amount.
Do you know what civilization would be working with these kinds of metals?
Every civilization.
Every civilization had access to mithril and combining them with titanium?
Well, the combining thing's more If you ask me about what civilization has used this alloy, my answer would be I've never seen anything that's used this alloy. If you ask me what civilizations use mithril, all of them. What civilizations use steel, practically all of them. What civilizations use titanium, any that can afford it. The elves were the progenitors of all modern metallurgy techniques, and metallurgy techniques we can no longer achieve. And they used all these in spades, even mithril, which the dwarves like to claim as their own.
Hmm.
But this plating, there is bone underneath it. This is not an imitation. It is bone. Plated bone.
Fascinating. This would be excellent news for Kato, at least.
Well, I also noticed something else. He goes over and gets his jeweler's glasses and he gives them to you and says, you want to flip down the 4th lens. It's the highest magnification.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Now, lean in and look on this section of the shard here. It's very hard to see, which is why I didn't spot it when you first brought it to me. But right there, and his finger kind of rests just above the bone, and you can see on a tiny, like, smaller than the tip of a pen, a little carving. And with this level of magnification, you can actually see it is an arcane glyph. It is so small, you have no fucking idea what tool could even be used to do that level of precision, but there is a tiny little arcane glyph. And when you see that one, the rest of them start to become aware, and you realize not the plating, but the underlying bone that the plating was put on top of is completely covered with them. Like every square inch of that bone is covered with little arcane glyphs.
Zenius, get Corvus out here now.
It's a long walk.
Okay.
In a movie, we would jump cut to him already being in the room, but in this, we're just gonna, Zenius walks out of the Department of Faith. He spends about 15 minutes walking back to the villa. Zenius is humming to himself. He stops by like a street food stand. And
I really like the idea of just like a fart Zenius walking really slowly across like an empty lot.
Actual 20-minute filler episode moment.
Yeah, and you can grab Corvus and bring him back. And Corvus, your mind is racing, and the 3 of you have each managed to get out. You're back in the Alchemist. All 3 of you are now in the Alchemist laboratory. Each of you has managed to look through the 4th level of magnification and see all these tiny, tiny little arcane glyphs carved into the bone. And to be clear, just for a sense of scale, this is a about 4-inch long, half-inch thick shard of bone. It must be covered with thousands of these tiny little glyphs.
Can I see a pattern in them?
You can,
like a
actually.
repetition.
In fact, they're very repeating. Roll me an Arcana check, and that applies to all 3 of you, though obviously some of you may struggle with it. Well, this could be a natural 20 from Zenius. He's been known to know things.
Come on, why have I been rolling so bad?
I do have proficiency.
Ascendant. That's what I thought right there. I think all 3 of you actually passed this, so... what's the easiest way to explain this? Magic in Valoros comes from the Immaterium, or the Realm of Souls, whatever you want to call it. But the Realm of Souls does not flow evenly. Magic will tend to accumulate and move in certain ways, depending on a whole bunch of factors. And a lot of it's like woo-woo shit. It's not based on science, but there are beliefs that things like this happen. These would be called ley lines, which influences the flow of magic. And there is actually like real magic behind it. It's just that in the modern day, no like megalithic ley line projects are being done because it's way beyond modern civilization. So it isn't really real anymore. But what you notice about this bone is that it looks like each of these little glyphs isn't even a full like word of arcane script. It's a single letter that seems to be like a direction indicator, and all of these little glyphs are pointing in the same direction. So I think all 3 of you would be able to roughly come to the similar idea, which is this is like if magic was put into this shard of bone, the magic would be channeled in a certain direction.
This is a table for magical energy. Oh,
I think
Hose.
Corvus is about to just like snap. This is a table.
Oh.
He sounds like fully broken at that realizing.
this is... I can't get any more information out of this without the whole thing. But this is conducting magical energy in a direction.
Does this mean this is a construct or a reanimated corpse?
Presumably construct. I don't think necromancy needs something this detailed. Necromancy is more about either binding souls or binding the body with a will. You don't. No, I
Who
haven't
has a
studied
history check?
bones that had been.
Or sorry, let me rephrase this. Is there anyone of the three of you who has Arcana and History as a proficiency?
Let me check.
No, I have Arcana, but no history.
So Prometheus
Yes.
can't make this. Zednius, do you have Arcana and History?
Just Arcana.
Just Arcana. Okay, well then. Corvus, since you have both of those proficiencies, I'm going to let you make a raw intelligence check.
Raw intelligence. Oh, 17.
Okay.
Oh, all right. It's pretty
The
good.
Necromortis' version of necromancy is exactly what you're describing. It's very indirect. You don't need these weird carvings or anything. It's kind of blunt. It's very blunt. Elvish necromancy is a whole other animal, to the point where there are like very strong arguments under arcane studies, so like study of arcane in the past, that say we shouldn't even call that shit necromancy, because they were like animating things that they crafted, but with the souls of living things. They were like sculpting flat. I mean, they were doing shit that's like completely beyond the pale of
That's
modern necromancy.
animancy, not necromancy.
Yeah, they're doing crazy shit. That type of necromancy may potentially use something like this, but you're right. Obviously, modern necromancy looks nothing even remotely like this.
Okay, so I'll say. I mean, with what we're looking at, there's a chance this is elven necromancy, which means I have no idea what this exactly is, and it's definitely not even the necromortis. If they were to do necromancy, not even they would be capable of this, and they're the most dangerous necromancers known to us that still exist today.
Dude, Corvus is gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah.
He is having a breakdown.
Where he's just like stressed out. I need like 3,000 research assistants.
Corvus starts smoking his pipe.
No, he's just like rubbing his eyes,
Well,
just like,
I'll-
oh god.
I'll give him a pat on the shoulder. Well, I'll get started on a first report to Kato.
Okay.
Well, the alchemist returns the full shard to you, Primius.
Thank you, sir. You've been a great help.
Of course. If you find any other strange, unexplainable materials, feel free to point them my way. I'm thinking about publishing a paper on that.
Keep this under wraps for now, please.
Oh, papers take years to write. I wouldn't worry about it. Plus, I'll need to get
Okay.
enough mithril on hand and titanium to see if I can recreate the alloy. Oh, I completely forgot. I didn't even mention the material properties of this, The melting point is lower than any of its constituent components, which is relatively interesting. But what I think would be most interesting to the three of you, since you're all arcanists, actually, I'm with arcanists. I can just speak it plainly. As you all know, there is the Tarentum conductivity scale, the ability of magic to pass through various materials. Earth is very difficult to pass through. Bodies a little bit simpler, and certain
You're
types
saying
of
that it's highly conductive, no?
highly magical conductive. Yes, it's in fact it's equivalent to air, meaning that magic can pass through it completely freely.
You said the melting point is low. How low would you say?
Oh well, I need to do more. I need to do much better tests, but it's around the same as steel.
Approximate.
Roughly similar to
Okay.
steel, which is the lowest melting point of the constituent components of it.
When you were trying to delayer it,
Yes, I had to scratch it.
yes. How resilient is it to, if somebody were to hypothetically make armor out of this,
All right.
how resilient would it be to blows and
I think it'd be
elemental
pretty poor
attacks?
armor. What you want from something like steel is a deformation quotient, because you want something that can bend and then be repaired after the battle. This would
Otherwise,
shatter.
it's too brittle and shatter.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so blunt weaponry would, it'd devastate this.
Okay. And it's highly magically conductive. What about electrically?
I'm not sure. My laboratory isn't very well equipped for that. That's a bit too advanced.
Whose laboratory is equipped with that?
Mhm. There was a dwarvish fellow from the west named Iranos, but he's been dead for about 600 years, so perhaps if you could go back
Where
in
was
time...
his laboratory?
His laboratory? I don't know. It's... No one can do this that's alive today. I'll put it that way.
Yes, we know. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to find. How about we find somebody who's dead? Or
Well,
we find some research of somebody who's dead that hasn't been found, you know?
well, then I'll put it this way. About a year ago, there was a dwarvish alchemist from the west. I think his name was Rangram. He did a speech here in the Symposium of Mythos about discoveries that were being made at the dwarvish capital of Islathyr, and they pillaged a whole bunch of old tombs from some dwarvish civilization that's long gone, and they used electricity, so...
Dwarf named Rangram, he said.
Dwarf named
What, do you know where he
Rangram.
is now?
I think he went back west. He was
How
a
far
westerner. He said he was from Cabaranth and he served a baron, I think. I don't know. They have all those western noble titles. I can't remember them all.
Cabranth, you said.
Cabaranth, yeah.
Where is that on the map, Parker?
It is the westernmost country in the entire world. Just for
Okay.
context, I'll send us over
They
there.
have 3 hospitals there?
No, they do not have free hospitals. Yeah, there it is. That
No,
is
we
the
don't.
Kingdom of Cavaranth, way over there. It is like 2,000 miles or something like that.
Oh shit, they have 5 there. That's where the Oblivion Gate opens.
So true. Yeah, it is
north of
1,100
Nipun.
miles from Mythos.
Okay, so you're saying is that's not happening. Cool.
I mean, unless you teleport. Or you decide to commit to a very long journey
I don't think...
to
But
find
technically
a
a
single
wall
dwarf
with,
named
like-
Rangarum.
And also, like, the last time a fleet was sent west, it was destroyed by Wanda, no?
That's when a warfleet was sent to Galadrim, which is a protectorate of Alcera. But yes, Alcera did destroy
Yeah,
that
so-
fleet, yeah.
So, yeah, like,
Monday
even if we
supremacy.
were to make a travel would be not only take forever, it'd only be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah,
The hammers fall do be like that.
the hammers fall to be like that. Yeah, you would know.
It do.
Well, some random pirates did get through, so...
Well, plenty
who's
of
to
ships
say?
get through, but it does still suck.
Um. Okay.
Damn, he was
I-
right. The hammers do be fallen.
Oh, true. Well, I'm gonna let the
I have
three
an
of you.
idea.
Oh yeah.
Not. I think I'll want to discuss this with the rest of the party privately,
Okay.
without the
Well then,
alchemist.
Zednius, Corvus, Primius, the three of you begin a long, meandering walk back to the villa, thinking of all the implications of what he just said. And eventually, you can get back to your villa, send some of your servants, so you have a bit of a private moment in the living room. And what would you like to share?
Apparently, the Son of the Dragon is excavating dwarven ruins in the northeastern end of the plains and the mountains.
Hmm.
How do you guys? What do you think? Do you think that it'd be possible for us to charter a ship to the Delian League and then sneak into that excavation site and get some information, pretending
That's
to
a-
be part of the Son of the Dragon's faction,
I think that's a good way to get
infiltrating that
killed.
place? Well, I think going into the Atlian Mountains when the beast is roaming is also a good way to get killed. I think any path we're taking, other than in complete inaction, is either likely to get us killed or will get us nowhere within the next decade.
I mean, expanded all our options yet. I feel like that could be on the list, but I would say very, very low on the list of necessary next actions.
Corvus rubs his temples.
To breathe.
I just. The Department of Magic is just backwards.
Agreed. But the world's not ending tomorrow, so.
How do you know? Whatever this beast is might come to meet us and blow the city to smithereens.
Yeah, and then what are you gonna do in the next 8 hours that you couldn't do?
I don't know. I feel like I need to do something.
When I was in the army, soldiers like you were a liability. We need you at 100% because I'm going to be watching your back, so I need you to watch mine and be alert and ready. So, what you need to do is go to bed, Corvus.
Goddamn right.
You seem like deflated. Like visually, he like almost ages like 5 years. like that scene when in the Lord of the Rings when Bilbo takes off the ring.
Lifted? Oh, that one. Okay.
And he just kind of suddenly looks a lot older, and it's like, oh, good. Like, maybe I need some sleep. Okay.
Well, future solutions will await tomorrow, but Corvus, you ascend to your room, lay down in bed. Exhaustion starts to overtake you, and then you hear a knock at the door, and you hear the muffled voice of the master servant. Lord Judge Corvus, there's someone outside for you.
Yes, who is it?
He identified himself as your apprentice, Titius Aurelius Alpius Fabricia.
I see. Give me a moment and then send him in.
All right.
I'll meet him in the entry hall.
All right. And you hear the sound of footsteps walking away.
Yeah, I'll get ready, compose myself, go to the washing trough, throw a handful of water, splash it in my face, and then go down.
Yeah, Primius and Zednius are still in the like living room, and they both see you like having just gone upstairs, walk back downstairs again, and then head towards the front door. And sure enough, when you get to the door and open it, your apprentice is there. He's looking normal, satchel bag around his hip, looking, I mean, a little bit nervous because he hasn't been to this house before, but when he sees you, he'll give a nod and say, "Ah, Lord Judge. May I come in?"
Of course, Tibius.
Are you all right?
Tibius, I'm sorry. I've been researching. You know what? Do I have is my study room separate from my bedroom? I'd assume so. We have enough rooms in this
You
house.
do have enough rooms, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'll bring him to the study room.
As you guys are walking through the halls, he'll say, "Well, I came because, I assume you've heard about the new sketches passing around the Department of Magic."
I won't answer. I will just continue.
All right. Well, the sketches, they're making more every day. I haven't seen them myself yet, but apparently some judge has found this very complex ward in the mountains related to this whole Beast of Atlia thing. And since you're a judge and you are being told to deal with the Beast of Atlia, I thought I could try to get you a copy. They're getting made slowly, though.
And I open the door, like the room to the study door. Light floods in, and he just looks at the notes.
Yeah. He looks at the wall covered with like the 9-panel thing. He looks at all the notes underneath it, and then he slowly nods and says, "Oh,
I was the one who scribed it."
Ah. Well then. He kind of
I've been
walks
trying to
over
make
and kind of
progress on
stoops
this.
down looking at it. It's his first time seeing it. And he'll, like almost every Arcanist you've shown it to has the same reaction, where at first they look at it and they're like, okay, this is like gibberish. And then they realize, wait a minute. And then they start to lean in. And then they just kind of look at it for a couple minutes in silence, like trying to parse it. And then they lean back and he says, well, are we sure that it does anything?
Yes.
Interesting. It's so smudged in some of these areas.
Yeah, maybe its function was altered, but considering how much there is to it, I'm sure that it has multiple fallback clauses to act in case of damaging to partial sequences.
Oh, almost forgot the main reason I came here. He reaches into his satchel bag and produces several sheafs of paper. They depict hand gestures, like very specific hand gestures, instructing one for the somatic components of Corvus's blazing something. What's the name?
Salvo.
Corvus's blazing salvo. It includes like very detailed hand illustrations, and you can add another week to your research progress. Since you left Nauseous, I've been working away, and I just finished these up last night at my hotel.
I'll smile and I'll nod and I'll say, "Thank you. You're
Well, since I've been
progressing quickly."
furloughed from all my tasks in the Department of Magic, I could start burning both ends of my candlestick, working on this and the research.
I think it's probably best for you to stay purely on the spell for now. I do what you must. I understand that this must be fascinating to you, so do what you must for your own thing. But I think I prefer you to stay on spell research for now. I think it would serve your personal education into the School of Evocation far more too.
I mean, just looking at it, I don't see a single evocation phrase that I'm familiar with in any of it.
I barely see phrases I'm familiar with. I've been trying to puzzle together. I'll point over to like one small sheet in the corner. That's the actual progress I've made so far, and it's mostly just context. I haven't made any breakthroughs, and I don't know if I ever will. This is going to take many people lots of time.
Who made it?
We don't know.
Has it always been there? They were like,
Unlikely. It was made in chalk and chalk, so a few weeks or so. It couldn't have been older than that.
You reckon?
Unless it was. I reckon. I must. And also, I don't think it should be too old. Otherwise, we would have seen it act and produce more phenomena much earlier.
I suppose I don't envy you then.
I'll give him a grim smile.
Well, if you want me to continue on the spell research, I was going to start conducting field tests, prospectuses, and then filing those with the Department of Magic. So I'll be outside of the city for the next week or two, setting hay bales on fire and the like.
Are you in need more funding, or are you okay on that for now?
No, actually. Once I got that special judge's request, most people, with that edict from the Emperor, most people are pretty excited to help judges at the moment.
I see. I'll look him up and down. Don't use the goodwill of the Empire too much.
He
I
kind of
know
talks in a
that you
lower
can get
tone
carried.
and says, I understand.
You can. When we're young, we can get carried away with things like that.
Well, you look exhausted, so I won't keep you up any later.
Thank you. And good luck on your further research.
Thank you.
If you need anything, I'll be in this house, presumably.
He nods. So, about 150 miles away at the same time, Maximus and Grania, your day-long sprint on Pegasus back has concluded. It was painful, sore, cold, uncomfortable, confusing. It rained on you. Overall, probably one of like top 5 most miserable travel experiences either of you have had. But at about 8 in the evening, you can see the blazing ball of light that is Salernum compared to the surrounding countryside, with all the torches and braziers and all that stuff. And you manage to find an open field, land in it, and then walk through a city gate on Pegasus back. You do get a lot more questions about it because your eyes aren't glowing. When you had people with like glowing eyes, you kind of had like a level of like explanation for it. Like people just assumed it was magic. But when you walk up to the gate on Pegasus back, covered with like completely soaked wet, a couple of guards look at you and then look away and then look back like completely confused. And it escalates all the way up to a centurion before they actually let you through the gate. And 2 legionnaires trail behind the 2 of you. So where are we headed?
That is the symposium.
Alrighty. Grania, do you regret being taken on this errand?
Yeah.
Frame 1, yes.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah, as we're can I like see it from?
Yeah, the symposium is a
now?
rather sizable building.
Big,
It's one of the
big, yeah.
bigger ones in Salerno.
Grania, what say we don't fly back when we
Feel like
leave?
have a little rapid nod up and down.
Yeah, that was miserable.
Yeah, you both look like wet cats.
Good lord. How about before we go to the symposium, we get a room get a couple rooms at an inn somewhere. Where we have a bath. Yeah.
It is pretty late at night, the symposium. He may not be at the symposium if it gets any later.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, you head to the symposium, the large educational institution of Salerno. You're just getting him tomorrow then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you head to a high-end inn. You drop a gold on the table. No further questions are asked. You get a horse stall for your Pegasus. The stable boy looks excited and horrified. As you like hand off the reins of the Pegasus, he'll say, What do I do?
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't eat, doesn't drink.
What?
Doesn't get cold. Does he have like a normal horse hide?
Yeah.
He needs a good brushing though.
So I brush him and that's it. Does he get cold?
I don't think so, no.
He looks at the horse and like pets it on the neck, and when there's no reaction, he like visually shivers. It's like freaking him out.
Yeah, quite kind of low maintenance.
Ooh, low maintenance.
Yeah, it threw me off too. But he's a demon in a fight.
What?
No, I'm sorry. Poor choice of words. Not an actual demon. He's just good to fight on the back of.
Okay. Where did it come from?
I work with
Friend made it.
I work with a paladin.
And they can do this.
The good ones can. Yeah.
Fuck the almighty.
You're telling me it changed my life. I flew here. From Mythos.
The wings can hold people.
I look at the saddle that's actively on its back. Yeah?
The stable boy just nods and begins to guide it by its reins into the stable house.
Okie dokie.
And yeah, the two of you guys can get baths drawn for you by the establishment, get a nice warm meal in you, get some like dried and pampered, and you finally start to not honestly the bath doesn't make you feel like yourself. It's not until you're underneath the covers and your cold bones start to warm up that you actually start to feel like yourselves again. You never realized, Maximus, that even on like the Tibrashan plains, there are still things which protect you from the elements, like rolling hills, tall grass. Like all of these provide some level of like protection from exposure. But 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet in the air, that is not true. You just get hit by fucking everything.
Those do not exist.
Cold wind, fucking rain, random birds. Like miserable. And yeah, the two of you quickly get to sleep. Alrighty. Next day, I think we'll start with the two of you, since we were sidetracked with Mythos for a while. The two guys can wake up, well, Maximus bright and early, Grania late and sore.
Whenever you grab me, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Grania, I remember, I think you ran your, let me restart that whole sentence. I think you rode your first horse in Gela Isle. So this is definitely your first time on like that long on a horse for 12 hours? No. 10 hours on horseback in the air with being unable to move from the waist down out of fear of falling off. Your legs are like in agony. Even Maximus is a bit sore and he has way more riding experience. So like when Maximus wakes up, he can barely walk. So Maximus, when Grania eventually wakes up, like her eyes are open, but she has not left the bed.
Sorry for dragging you along on this, Granny. I didn't realize.
She'll just go very, like, weak, just nod, just like, yeah.
That one's on me. Well, these symposium types probably aren't up and around. We can go during lunch.
Yeah, you lazily putter about. You even get to try some local Salernum cuisine because Salernum, Cispontar Salaria, which is what the province is called, is actually very unique because Transpontar Salaria used to be, before the Empire conquered it, was a bunch of feuding warlord states. The core imperial provinces have been a part of the Empire for a very long time. Salernum was the capital of a kingdom that was independent, pretty powerful, and was a major rival to the Reginan Republic. So they have like a distinct cultural identity, a distinct language, a distinct religion. They had all of that. And obviously when the Empire conquered them, a lot of that was removed, but they have unique cuisine still. So you guys go down to the floor, and you even hear snippets of the local language, which I think a very small part of your like judge alarm starts to be like, I feel like that's probably illegal, but that's not why you're here. So I think you ignore it. And mostly, though, you get to try these local cuisines, and it's spicy. Jesus, is it spicy? I mean, it's not like Imperial cuisine is spiceless. It's just that this is like really spicy. It's lots of like hearty, wholesome food with a spice added onto it. Lots of curries and things like that.
Is it not similar to Tibrashan food at all?
No, it's actually pretty distinctly not Tibrashan. The Salernian, when it was a kingdom, it was more similar to Mythos than it was to any Tibrashans.
Oh, okay.
Like at one point, the whole Tibrashan plains was united by something called the Mizdagoth Empire about 150 years ago. The Salarian kingdom was never a part of that. They managed to maintain their independence. There are even some academics, maybe even Professor Pushton, you never actually asked him about it, who believe that this is the cradle of civilization for all of Eastern Valeros because there's these twin rivers which form a river valley that is incredibly fertile, and they believe that that's where the first humans thrived in Eastern Valeros.
Yo.
But
I'll have to remember not to ask him about that.
You don't want to hear him say some shit that'll get him in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, either way, you guys putter about trying local foods. They have sticky bean pastries, and lots of other little treats. And eventually, around noon, you make your way to the symposium. It is a crawling with students, many such cases. And you make your way to the central office because you don't know what building Pushton will be in. And you ask for Professor Pushton, and a kind clerk will guide you guys to the history and archaeology and anthropology building, which are all lumped together. And you will be guided up to an office.
That's right.
And then there will be a rapping at a door. And a moment later, Professor Pushton will open it. His glasses are on crooked. His shirt is like very poorly, like he put the button one above the slot it's supposed to go into, so the whole shirt is like misaligned. His jacket is like he has a little vest on, but it's horribly fitting. And he'll kind of open up the door. His hair is all like bedhead. He clearly fell asleep in his office. It's the most obvious thing ever. And he'll look at the two of you and say, "Ah, hello, Lord Judge," like extend his hand to shake yours.
I'll shake it.
He does the
Professor,
handshake where he puts his other hand over your hand while he's shaking it, so it's like a double handshake.
Yes, the classic academe handshake.
Yeah. He says, "It's a pleasure to see you again, Lord Judge Maximus.
Yes, you as well.
Did you know that you're credited on one of my research papers that I published returning from Gela Isle?"
I did not. No.
Yes, you're accredited as a field assistant. I thought that was quite clever.
All right, then.
Well, and then it's a pleasure to see you again, Lady Judge. And he'll extend a hand.
She'll kind of just look down at it and nod.
Well, I've got your tongue. Little mute humor.
You won't smile.
Yes, well, not funny.
Please come
anyway.
in. And the desk is completely covered. The various scroll, square-shaped scroll sockets, completely disorganized. There are several books stacked up. They're toppled over. And he will kind of clear a space on the two chairs, which were both holding scrolls and or books, and he will sit behind the desk. And you can see a series of papers on the desk, students' papers, and about half of them are graded. The other half just have a bunch of lines struck through them and like a random, like literal, like you see no pattern to the numbers. Some of these papers that he was given, he struck through over half the lines and just put a number in the top right corner.
I'll look at the number on one of them.
Yeah, 1024.
I'll just reference one of them. Didn't do so good, huh?
Oh, no, that's the number of errors in the paper. It's unsubmittable.
How can there even be that many errors? Are there that many words?
He points towards a sentence, and he begins to talk, and you know his, wind up. This is most academics you can start to tell. For him in particular, he has a very notable tell. He takes in a deep breath. He says, "Well, if you look at this sentence here," do you let him continue?
Yes, I am kind of curious on how there can be more errors than words.
Well, if you look at this sentence here, you can see from this is a translational text, so we can look at the underlying text, and he pulls out another sheaf of paper, which is written in a language you can't read. And he says, "Look at just this, the punctuation at the start of the sentence. You see in the Elvish text that we're trying to translate, tonal pronunciation is put at the front, so you're supposed to indicate to the reader what they're supposed to understand about the sentence going ahead. They failed to include that in their translation."
It's not just the words themselves.
Everything.
I see. The
it's
grammar
punctuation,
and everything.
words, letters. They're supposed to put accent marks above it so you know how to pronunciate it. Have you ever noticed that most Elven names have those little swipes above the I? This is an indicator towards non-Elvish speakers reading a Mithdosianized version of the text on how to pronounce the word. They didn't include any of it.
Professor, you think I know any Elvish names?
I bet you do.
Yes. Well,
there was that one elf in your group, Lady Judge Renesmee. She was very kind.
Yes. She stole an artifact from the Empire and disappeared.
Well, if you're here, that means you must think of some way I could assist you.
Yes. I mean, as you know, I'm not the most academic type, but I did consult with the ones in my group.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You are a published researcher.
Huh. That I can use that in verbal arguments now.
You have your name on
Excellent.
more papers than most co-eds.
How many papers? Well, that's not so many. But yes, I do have some questions they gave me to ask you.
Who is they?
Let's see. I don't know their full names, and I think that's the only thing he would know them by. A Lord Judge Primius
know
and
me.
a Lord Judge Corvus. I don't. Although I do know Primius's clan name. I do remember that.
All right, your fellow judges then. Understood.
Yes. Well, shall we just begin then?
Sure.
All right.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but Lady Judge Grania, did you have any questions?
Just shake your head no.
I will say, since our meeting, I realized that my language portfolio of all the languages I know was scarcely lacking when it came to Imperial Sign Language, so I have learned a bit of basic conversational phrases.
She'll seem skeptical about that, but then she'll sign. Do you understand what I'm saying then?
He squints. Do you understand? Speaking.
Hold on.
I know the grammar and the syntax aren't quite there, but I think the meaning got across.
It'll probably put a smile on her face that he's.
But watch this one. And Maximus, what's your sign language at?
It's not.
Is it like
great,
higher than
not
a 2?
Terrible. Oh yeah, wait.
All
higher,
right, this
yes.
joke will make sense. Dog walk into bar, paw bleeding. Dog puts paw on bar. Bartender says, "What happened?" Dog says, "I'm going to get revenge on whoever shot my paw." End of joke.
Yes,
He does that
well,
all in sign language.
How long did that take?
Oh man, okay, so he started to spell out some of the later words because he forgot how to do them, so we're talking like 2.5 minutes.
As he continued signing, like her smile slowly started turning more and more to like a frown. Oh. Like,
This is.
she doesn't know what that means, so to her it just sounds like a sad story.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he finishes
Well,
it and then waits for a reaction to the punch.
you've made excellent progress, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Anyway, I'll pull out a very crumpled and slightly piece of paper that was soggy and since has dried. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Well, before we get on to that, something slightly more serious. How do you know about the Beast of Atlia?
Oh, it's just been talked about by some of my colleagues.
Your colleagues here at the symposium?
Yep.
Can I do an insight check on that?
Sure.
I forgot. Ah, there we are.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you advantage here because you've seen this guy in life or death situations. He does not have a poker face. He was screaming for his life. So the idea that he would lie to the face of an imperial judge is I mean, if it was really important, he would probably try to do it. But the idea that he could do it as casually as he just said, yes, no, unless unless there's some crazy magic involved, there's no shot he's consciously doing it that smoothly.
All right, cool. All right. Any idea where they got it from, or is it sort of just being passed around?
I have no idea. I mean, I didn't think it was hidden information. That Imperial... Everyone knows there was an order from the Emperor. Not everyone knows the text, of course, but order from the Emperor, and then lots of judges moving places, and then, I don't know, I guess rumors spread.
Huh. Well, yeah, information I'm going to ask you about isn't exactly, not public, but you shouldn't go spouting it off beyond the realm of attempting to research it for me.
Alright.
Alright, do you know anything about automatons?
Only in the vaguest sense, probably as much as you do.
That the dwarves made them, or at least the Golden Age dwarves?
Yeah, essentially.
Was it just the Golden Age dwarves?
No, I mean, it depends what you mean by automaton. If you're including golems, I think that dwarves in the West can still make those, but that's where my knowledge ends.
Okay. Let's see. How about dragons? How much do you know about them?
Well, I did study the recurrence of draconic sorcerers in Mithdosian populations, and I wrote a paper on it a couple of years ago, essentially with the hypothesis that if sorcery is purely descended by blood, and the way that that sorcery reveals itself in various people of the population is related to the proportion of that ancestry, essentially, if a draconic sorcerer truly does have a dragon ancestor, that would indicate a large amount of dragon inbreeding in the not-so-recent past. But
yes.
That's if you believe that the presentation of sorcery traits actually has to do with lineage rather than a sort of quirk of birth.
I see. In this theory, would draconic sorcerers descended from either red or blue dragons have traits of those specific two, fire and lightning?
Well, kind of. So, I did a pretty intense study into this and found that draconic sorcerers come in a wide variety of types, even completely unassociated with any dragons we've ever observed, which is why I support the hypothesis there is no connection. This is just, we see scales, we see fire, we call it dragon, but it's not that. It's just a method of the inherent magic in the blood presenting itself. But if you do believe there's some sort of lineage connected, then there are a whole host of dragons we don't know exist, having reproduced with humans very recently.
Alright, these draconic sorcerers, is there a bronze variety?
What do you mean by bronze? The skin doesn't change color. The main things that change is sometimes the sheen of the scale, but more typically the element that they are most attuned with.
What are the various elements
Oh, jeez.
then of the sorcerers, not of the dragons?
Yes, I understand. Let me see. He reaches up and searches through various scrolls until he finds the original paper, and he goes and looks through it. All right. The identified types in my study were fire, lightning, acid, poison, cold.
That was it?
That was it.
Or that's all you discovered?
That's all I was able to find. I interviewed a sample population of 143 sorcerers that fell under what we would call draconic.
Alright. In any of your research for this, you discover anything about, I'll just come out and say it, I suppose, the Beast of Atlia, the dragon.
It's a dragon.
Oh, fuck.
Is that why it's such a big deal? Is it red or blue?
Alright.
Is it
Professor.
bronze?
If this gets out, I'm going to come back here and slit your throat before the Empire can get to me.
Oh,
Alright?
yeah?
Alright. Yes, it's bronze.
He nods slowly.
And it doesn't really breathe fire. It breathes, I believe, they came up with some new word for it. Plasma, I think is what they called it.
Oh, it's lightning
It's... No.
Oh,
Well, maybe. What?
well, I don't. Like I said, the 4 categories that I found were fire, lightning, poison, and cold.
Can you say acid?
He looks down at the paper. Acid. Yes, acid, not
Nice.
poison.
No. It's something different.
Range.
It's hotter than fire. Or I think maybe hotter than lightning. I'm not sure. How hot is lightning? Is lightning hot?
I don't. I mean, I would say so. It burns things, right?
I suppose, yeah. Yeah. It's a bronze dragon. If there's any way you can... Well, actually, these draconic sorcerers you interviewed, is there... At least, were they just in the Empire, or were they all over the world?
All over the place. I took a this was during more peaceful days. I took a trip through Tabrash, the Delian League, the Delian colonies. Took about 3 years all told. It was a part of my larger census on the recurrence of magical individuals in group populations.
I see. And who's the most powerful one you interviewed? Strongest, highest circle, however it works.
I think that there was someone with access to 7th circle magic in Lubelski. I think.
Lubelski. Is that in the Empire, Alex?
No, it is not. That is a Tabrashan princedom.
Is that one of the friendly ones?
I don't think so. Let me double check.
Good.
I'd say 75% sure it's hostile. I was wrong. It's friendly. It's the one that you guys stopped at on your way to Ostatic.
That was that where I separated?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. And you have any idea if this individual's still alive?
Oh, I know he's not alive.
Oh. Unfortunate.
He burned himself up.
How'd he manage that?
Well, I don't know how many sorcerers you've met in your life, but their magic is highly uncontrolled, and most sorcerers manage to get it under wraps, but they can also undergo this sort of second puberty of sorts where their magic begins to rapidly grow in potential, but they do have limited control. For fire-prone sorcerers, as he was, this can turn their magic inward and quite literally bake them alive, or in his case, spontaneously combust.
Spontaneously combust?
Yes.
Who's the most powerful one who's still alive, to your knowledge?
I mean, I didn't ask their circle of magic as a part of my study. I largely asked about how long since their traits had presented. I used that as a sort of indicator, and there were some who had had it for over 3 or 4 decades, mostly in the Delian League.
Unfortunate. Is there someone who would know more about this than you somewhere in the Empire?
About the circle magic that draconic sorcerers across the continent have access to?
No, just draconic sorcery in general.
I'm sure you could ask the Department of Magic, but they'll probably refer you to an expert, which will take a couple of months to get back to you.
Yes, maybe not then. Maybe. All right, that's certainly an idea. Okay. I think we've chased that rabbit hole down far enough. And then hopefully something that's more to your speed. Did dwarves ever live in the Atlian Mountains?
Yes. Yes,
When?
they lived in every mountain.
Oh, during their golden age?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there any knowledge of old holds?
No. As you know, the Shattering split Valoros in twain. And, well, we do have maps of what Valoros looked like before, so we know that it was a sort of donut shape. I think that's probably the best way for you to picture it. It's a donut-shaped continent and a mountain range which connected the entire donut, sort of like a a rim on the top of the donut. Now there are...
Okay.
We won't go into it. Anyways, there's a rim on top of the donut, and this world mountain range, all connected, was the haunt of the Dwarven civilization during their golden age. And arguably well until the Shattering. But to answer your question, the reason I said all that is because after the Shattering, everything changed. I mean, as you very well know, the largest mountain range in the world barely even connects to the next one over. The world, everything about it is completely different. Mountains sunk into the sea, land shattered, the heartland of the elves beneath the ocean. Everything's different. So, no, we have no idea where any of them are.
But the Atlian Mountains of today existed then.
Yes, every mountain range today did exist back then. They were just in different locations.
So it's possible there could be a hold there.
It's likely there is, but it's probably buried deep, deep, deep in the earth, or completely rended by earthquakes, or, well, half a dozen other things.
Huh.
There's a reason why we don't do dedicated excavations for Golden Age ruins, because if you find one, you know, you'd be the most famous archaeologist alive, but the chance of you finding one, I'll put it this way. There has been a single discovery of a Golden Age hold in the entirety of recorded history. One.
Where?
Back when the Red Mountain Dawi were feeling more talkative, they announced about 500 years ago that they discovered a hold of their ancestors buried beneath their current capital, and they were beginning excavations, but they never let any outsiders in, and, well, you know, then they shut off completely.
Soon
and they knew
after
where
that.
to look.
Interesting. All right. Dragons are connected to the elemental planes, right? In some form.
I don't know. I'm not a monstrologist. My interest is mostly in humans.
Is there a monstrologist on campus?
No, that's more of a... I mean, there's not many in the Empire to begin with, and it's mostly an interest of the Department of Magic. There's just not that many monsters in the Empire. We're not like we're not like the Northern Kingdoms. We don't have horrible fairy tale creatures haunting our streets, requiring half a dozen different monster hunting orders, or those private mercenaries they call adventurers.
Oh, no.
Oh, I suppose not. We just have them haunting our woods and our mountains instead.
Exactly. Well away from civilization. It's the great achievement of the Empire.
Yes. Oh, have we become the monsters? Nah, that's stupid. Well, I think that's about all I got then. Let's see. Don't know much about that. Like I said, we're sort of reaching here.
What if we go into the mountains?
Huh?
What if we go into the mountains?
Us.
Yeah?
I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, I mean, when I wrote this letter, that was, I'll be honest, that was sort of my intention. I mean, when we were on Gela Isle, we had a good thing going. You could protect me, I could do research, and you say that there's a dragon in these mountains. It would certainly leave signs, not to mention the fact that there's a number of ruins up in those mountains that most researchers can't get permission to go to because they're considered dangerous. So, you could be both breaking new
ruins?
ground and... Yeah.
What ruins are those? And what are they ruins of?
The Batavian civilization, a collection of pre-Protonic peoples who live in the southeastern corner of what is now the Empire. They worshipped a sun god and a moon goddess, high reoccurrence of magically gifted people based on their various shrines and the like. And it is highly believed that their second largest city is in the mountains. But because the Atlian Rangers are constantly patrolling the hills for any monsters still living within them, cyclopses and the like, research was always deemed as too risky or pointless.
Alright. No. No, we will not be going into the mountains.
A shame.
Yes, very much so. Oh.
I
This
hope you
hasn't been
didn't come all the way
entirely-
from Mythos just for this.
No, I did. But don't worry, we got here in a day.
Teleportation?
No, that would be like 6 seconds, right?
Well, yeah, but how else then?
Pegasus.
What?
Paladin in our party. Summon Greater Steed, I think is what he called it.
The winged horse?
Yeah, flies through the air. Terrible experience, actually. We're gonna walk back. Or ride back, I suppose, but ride on the ground.
And she also.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You judges.
see
I mean, yes?
Alright, doesn't seem like you're too busy.
Well. They can wait a day. Yeah, sure.
Alright. Sorry, I'm just taking some notes about the conversation here.
Yeah, you're scribbling into your notebook.
Yeah, exactly. Ask about types of...
The professor will look at you, Granny, and say, "So, how has being a judge been treating you? When we last met, you were a mere battle mage." All right.
Accurate role-playing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. She'll just shrug and sign good.
Good. All right. Done any final rests? What's your? Is that primarily what you do? Arrest and smiting evil? Have you done any of that?
She'll like ponder for a moment and be like, she'll just shake her head no.
No evil. Unfortunate. It's been almost a year. No evil? Really?
Yeah, Alex, is the Green Rider stuff still classified?
Very much though. No one in the Empire knows a fucking archfey was like kidnapping people and turning their kids into giants.
She'll just
Oh,
sign
yeah.
nothing like island because she's trying to keep it simple for him.
Yeah, he'll nod and say, "Well, that's very... I mean, it's fortunate that there's no cults, but it's unfortunate that you haven't gotten the chance to really, stick it to the..." And he kind of does like a punching motion, like stick it to the evil, and stuff like that. Does that mean you've been on the
Unironically, I don't
plains?
think anything Granya's like faced. I think the only thing she considers evil is Tullius. Like, she hasn't really run into many things she would consider evil.
And Galileo was pretty fucking evil.
Yeah, Gale Isle was the last thing. That's what she said. Like, nothing.
Yeah, unambiguously evil, yeah.
I don't think she would have considered the Green Rider necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, since
evil.
then it's mostly been like criminals and fae.
Oh, Professor, I meant to mention, I got a scroll of teleport while we were on Gela Isle that I sold to the Department of Magic.
I remember that. You and Father... Well, no, wasn't it... Was it you and Father Rixion?
Rixion, yes.
I don't... Are you sure you got that on Gala Isle? Because I
Thought I did.
don't
Didn't I,
believe
Alex?
so. I was
thought
thinking
I
about that. I also thought you
That's-
did, but then I was doing some math in my head.
Yeah.
Father Rixion did not join the party until after Zednius was turned into ash, which only happened in Matter of Faith, which was after Gala Isle, which means that had to have happened during Criminal Nobles and Hucksters during the Flamium arc.
Is
which
that not
means
one of the
that-
things we got from Gilile from that weird like interdimensional
I don't think it
study?
can be because Rixion wasn't in the party.
Hyperion was, right?
Hyperion was, but he means Rixion because Rixion got a chunk of the profit. Oh, Chowder, thank you. It was from the Bard, the guy who kept like teleporting around whimsical style.
Oh,
I
yeah.
oh the
Uber the
fucking
Fair.
Yeah,
the nod.
he remembers the name. Dude, you forget the name of like half the critical NPCs in this campaign, but you remember fucking Uba the Fair.
My arch nemesis.
Yeah, I was
Did
gonna
he
say.
just have it? Did he just have it on him?
Yeah,
He had a lot
he
of
did.
crazy magical stuff on him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had tons of crazy
He
shit.
was just
Did we kill him or did he-
Shiruku.
You
yeah,
did
I
kill
like
him,
could've-
yes.
him.
Yes.
We
You-
killed the mother style, yeah.
We were
Yeah, I
trying to
remember-
just fight him normally, and then he died to like 2 Eldritch Blasts.
Yeah, because he was like 30 HP.
Yeah,
but
we
yeah,
just
about
had a
hitting
powerful
him.
sponsor.
yeah, I knew it couldn't be Galio because Rixion was not in the party
No.
at that point. But
All right, well that whole conversation didn't happen.
yeah,
Then. All right. All right. Off to the Pegasus.
yeah, you guys head out to the Pegasus. While you guys are walking, he'll notice that his like shirt is misaligned, so he'll fix the buttons on it one by one as you guys are walking, and then he'll look over at Granny and say, "So, have you ever thought of enrolling in symposium classes? I don't know how that would match with the judge's schedule, but they do correspondence classes at my symposium."
She'll just sign. Don't understand.
What part?
And then she'll spell out
Granny,
the words that she didn't understand. Like, what were the classes you said at the symposium? I don't know if she even knows what's-
Correspondence?
Correspondence, yeah.
Hmm.
You remember those law classes we were taking?
She'll nod.
Yeah, those.
Essentially, rather than attending lectures at a regular interval, you would be sent a packet of coursework and then expected to fill it out in good faith, and at the conclusion of that, you would receive a credit. I bring it up because, well, you're rather young, and you've spent much of that time in service of the Empire, and it could be good to broaden your horizons, maybe give anthropology a try.
You'll ask about that word as well.
It's the study of humans. Essentially.
Shrine sounds boring.
What do you mean it sounds boring? You're a human. Are you boring?
She'll nod.
Thank you,
Boring?
human.
What are you talking about? No, you're being silly. No. Anthropology is interesting because, well, it's the condition of being you. It's figuring out how you came to be. Like, for instance, what village were you born in?
She'll shrug.
She is not the best. You know, you could probably spend a lifetime trying to. Yeah, I can't even pronounce the word I was trying to say. You spend a lifetime trying to figure that out.
I don't understand.
Anthropologize me instead.
Well, you seem okay. Well, anyways, anthropology is interesting as a subject because it explains the context. You know, life is an ongoing stream of events that started at the beginning of everything and will continue until its end. And you're just slotting in for a very small portion of it. You know, a brief little.
Holy shit, it's the adults and
Indeed,
Peanuts.
Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Charlie Brown, yeah.
Yeah, you guys get to the inn, and you head on inside and slowly extract the Pegasus from the stables, and he just kind of looks at it, and then reaches out and touches it. Wow,
It explodes.
it's not a real thing. It's like a magical thing. You said?
Yeah, it's like a shell of an animal.
Yeah,
Like
I can tell.
the bits are all there, but there's no one's home.
As this paladin acquaintance of yours tried to breed it with a horse.
No, I'll check the underside.
There's nothing.
Yeah, that'd do it.
Well, I guess Aurelian's soul did not see fit to equip it.
No, I suppose not.
If Aurelian Soul wished for us to have Pegasi, I guess we would have them.
That's a good point.
You should consider that. Perhaps you're violating some sort of religious law.
Well, I mean, Aurelian Soul gave him the power to summon it.
Yep.
That is how paladins work.
So you're headed back then?
No, I think I'm gonna go by the Department of Magic.
Oh, the one here in the city is quite paltry.
Yeah, that's fine. I just need some information about where to find someone.
Well, good luck. And if you do end up going into the mountains, I would humbly request that you think of me.
I certainly will think of you, Professor.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I'll
And,
shake his hand and...
Yeah, he'll shake your hand back and look at Grania and say, well, if you are interested in correspondence courses, my department, and specifically I, do teach several classes. You could fill out the coursework in your free time. Even if you may struggle to know where you were born, it's still good to know about how you came about, the context that led to your birth, and how that impacts you.
She seems incredibly disinterested by this, but she'll just sign okay.
He'll just,
Actual okay boomer moment.
just shrug and return to his, begin the walk back to his symposium.
Once she feels like he's gone enough, she'll look towards Maximus and say, "Will you?" Or like sign, "Will you?"
Will I what?
Think about him.
Oh, yes, I will thank God he's not here.
She'll nod and laugh or like giggle.
You two are
yeah,
psychopaths.
He barely survived Gela Isle. I think he'd take a step into the woods and just sort of collapse.
Did we take all his books, or did he get some good
He got,
books?
I think, 2 of them.
I seem to have co-authored a couple papers
No,
without knowing
not
it, though.
co-authored, not co-authored.
Reference?
Research, field assistants.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about that, but even field researcher would have been better.
This motherfucker.
Ah, well, he
Yeah.
can field assistant these nuts. Let's go to the Department of Magic.
You trot on Pegasus back to the Department of Magic in Salernum. When he said paltry, he meant like a 3-room building. You're not even sure how that's like possible for one of the most well-defunded. Like, the Department of Magic is arguably the most wealthy of the departments, wealthier than the Department of Coin, which is very funny. And this one's shitty. You can't even imagine how like it could look like this. But yeah, you park your horse outside. Immediately people start to walk over. So do you want to leave Grania to prevent the horse from getting, yoinked?
Yoinked?
Or do you trust it to defend itself?
I kind of want to see what it will do.
All right.
So, I'm gonna walk in, but then weirdly sort of stare out the door, so the Department of Magic clerk just sees me walk in and then immediately turn around and stare through the cracked open door.
Is Grania also peeking with you?
I think she'll
Granny-
start to she'll notice what Maximus is doing. He's like, "What is he looking at?" and kind of join him.
Okay, father-daughter energy. The two of you peer out of the door at the horse, at the Pegasus. And I think what you notice is that people will come over and just start touching it. And if this was an actual animal, the animal will be losing its fucking mind. Random strangers walking up and petting its wings and all that shit. But this one literally does not give a fuck. There are people petting it, touching its wings, feeling its feathers and stuff. It just doesn't care. And weirdly enough, that seems to encourage more people. And you've been watching for 2-3 minutes, and there's a group of 8 people just petting the horse, touching it, chatting with each other, feeling its wings.
All right,
we'll just
enough.
Look towards Maximus.
All right, enough of this. Granny, back up just one step if you don't mind.
She'll take one step back.
Ah, thank you. And I will whip the door open
Yeah,
and just fucking come like pounding out. Hey, get the fuck away from that.
yeah. The people scatter and run away, and a couple people just take like fast steps. The horse
Be gone
just
with all of you.
kind of looks at you with empty eyes
Vultures.
and an empty soul.
All right, that should keep him away. I will look to the horse. I wonder if this will work. Don't move from right here. Cool.
It just stares
And
at
I'll
you.
out. Yeah, I know. I wonder.
Try and move it.
When I give you an instruction, nod your head if you understand.
It moves its head in. I'm not even joking. Like the freakiest fucking move you've ever seen a horse do, because it's not like a horse nod where it does like the slow lowering of its neck or something. It's like a human nod where it like shakes its head up and down. It's freaky. It's actually like skinwalker shit. It's like the most disturbing thing you've ever seen a horse do.
Oh wait, this is good. If anyone other than me or the Grania, the gal I was with, get close to you, do that.
It nods.
Excellent. That'll keep them away. And I'll walk into the Department of Magic.
Yeah, you walk into that. I'm just picturing like how fucking horrifying it would be to see a horse nod. Like that is just no animal should ever be doing human like gestures, and to see a horse of all things just nod, it would be so fucking creepy. Okay, yeah, you walk into the Department of Magic. A tired and overworked clerk will there's like two people in line, but once those two people are done, the clerk will look at you and say, "Hello, welcome to the Department of Magic. How can I help you?"
I'm looking for a monstrologist somewhere in the Empire. Where's the closest one?
Okay. And they stand up and go behind the counter and disappear into a little doorway.
They seem unmotivated. That's
Yep.
to Grania.
Hold on.
And to wait for a little bit.
Hmm.
You look out and you see, you hear someone scream outside.
I'll look at Grania. It was freaking me out that I would give the horse instructions and it just wouldn't respond. So I told it to nod its head if it understood, and it nodded like a human. So I told it to do that if anyone got close to it. I think someone got close.
Doesn't really get it, but she's just nods.
I'll show you when we get out. It's the freakiest thing I've ever seen.
The door will open and the clerk will emerge and say, "All right, the closest monstrologist is currently has been called up for military service. That'd be at the garrison in Parla. Patricia. The second closest would probably be the monstrologist in Mythos. There's also a number in Kujva with allegiance there who have been called to service. And then there is a monstrologist located in Fort Romulus on the southern frontier."
Mythos, you say? Alright. That'll have to do then. Anything else I needed from you people?
People.
They look at you with dead eyes.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, they're not people, they're bureaucrats.
Dang.
Alright, well, it hasn't been nice. Enjoy yourself.
Have a good day and come again.
Jesus fuck. I'll leave.
You walk from one soulless, unholy creature to another, and you can get back on your Pegasus.
Oh, here, I'll show Grania the nod.
Yeah, Grania,
Horse.
I'll be honest, for you, it's probably not that freaky because you saw
Yeah, I was
lots of
about to say.
anthropomorphized fey animals.
It's like, yeah, it's weird for a horse, but for an animal in general, no, it's just different.
Alright.
I mean, you've seen cats with faces and shit, like human faces, so.
You should have seen the shit she saw in the Feywild.
He just
Absolutely.
stands there unfazed.
Alrighty. Then you guys can begin your return to Mythos. You'll get back on the 19th. Alright. Zednius, Primius, Corvus, the three of you fellas. You got a couple days. What do we want to do?
Go back to the monstrologist and ask them the difference between a construct and a golem.
A golem and a construct are the same thing.
Are they? Then what? Oh, a
Why is there a
golem-
distinction?
Where did you get
Well,
that distinction?
I don't know.
Well,
For some
there's two
reason-
different words, you know.
Yeah, I thought they were.
Because a
like-
construct can refer to the whole class of created entities. A golem typically refers to one of 5 things: iron golem, clay golem, stone golem, flesh golem. But they're all constructs.
Mm-hmm.
see.
So
Let's see.
golem is the subordinate category to the super category that is construct.
Yep.
I would like to ask Corvus to cast scrying on the piece of bone.
What do you mean? That's not how that works.
What?
You have to cast it on a creature.
Yeah,
doesn't-
or place I know.
Oh, I thought. Doesn't having a piece of the thing you're attempting to scry on help?
Yes.
I believe
you did this at the very
end of last session.
Scion Beast of Atlia.
We never scried using it.
We
Someone
never
else has,
attempted,
though.
but everybody says it always fails. I guess we might as well find out how exactly it fails.
Well, I mean,
I
like,
have a spell slot to
It's probably
do
because
it.
it's on a different plane, right? That's what I think.
Oh, it's possible.
I'm wondering
Reasonable.
if the bone shard helps. Also, we have the the tiny piece of like metallic bone.
Honestly, this is a long shot, but might as well.
Sure.
Go investigate the chases all the leads. I'm gonna attempt to scry on the Beast of Atlia
Alrighty.
with this piece of thing.
Corvus. You place your
There's no
hand
Beast of Atlia.
on the orb. And you scry. It is a black surface of an ocean, and you wait for the mists to part so that you can see what you're looking for. And the mists do part. You make a connection to something, but it's pitch black. And then you see 2 objects begin to emerge from that darkness. Skeletal eye sockets. And they stare into you.
Skeletal eye sockets. Is this skeleton clad with the same type of stuff that this pod is?
It is a dark black, almost silvery skeleton.
How much of it can I see?
Make an intelligence saving throw.
Oh, fun. Intelligence save. I'm pretty good at these. 25.
Alrighty. The connection terminates.
Okay, I guess I got away with something really risky.
Yeah, from the rest of your perspective, I guess from, not rest of yours, Zednius and Primius, you see him, take out his orb. He begins to ponder it, and then his eyes go wide, and then he, looks away from the orb.
Yeah, this is...
What did you see?
This... Skeleton. Eye sockets of a skeleton. Everything else was black. And then the...
What is the form of the skeleton? Humanoid?
Did I tell? Did I have enough
It
time
was
to tell?
just the eye sockets, so hard to say.
How large then? Did you see how large?
I had no sense of that. There was no scale. There was no
Oh.
banana. Scale.
Oh my god, that is very funny.
Um,
Hey, guys, what do we a far shot. What do we know about liches?
Do people even know that those exist?
I think that high-level wizards such as yourself would, yeah. I mean, so the thing is, liches exist. Like, there is known to be a lich currently in the world.
Monka
It
Omega.
is quarantined in a old dwarvish hold on Bertelia. But it does exist.
Guess I'll say. But does that one have a name?
It does. Basically, an actual like band of dwarvish explorers discovered this about 3 years ago, and then they told everyone, "Do not fucking go into this mountain. There is a lich," and they called him Archmage Logash.
So I'll say.
Yeah.
There's one known lich, Archmage Logath, in the mountain on an island, Bertalia. And. Well, I actually don't know anything about him. I guess this could, in theory, be him. But in practice, I don't think so.
Can a dragon be a lich?
Can the dragon be a lich? I guess hypothetically, if we were to assume that dragons are intelligent creatures capable of casting spells just like humans, and we assume that those are the knowledge and spellcasting proficiency to be a lich are possible for any type of creature, then I guess in theory, yes. In practice, I have no idea. There's probably no recorded cases. And if there are, then we're fucked. Like, if this is a dragon lich dragon, we're fucked.
Well, we'll have to tell. We'll have to tell Kato.
Are
also-
you trying to give
still-
Kato a mental breakdown?
Yeah, also, like, yeah, we have no evidence for this, so let's not try to kill our boss with a heart attack before the end of the year.
No. Well, I was just thinking there was mention of elvish, like, intelligence with the arcane glyphs on the demetallized bone. Clearly, they're like so tiny. The glyphs are microscopic.
Question is, why would, assuming this is like some kind of ancient, powerful being, why would it emerge just now? What caused that scream a year ago? Are these two linked? Because since that scream a year ago, there has been a lot more weird shit coming from the Atlian Mountains.
You know what else happened a year ago?
What?
An archfey entered the plane of the material plane.
Which one? The
Rage. Well, the only one that's entered the material plane.
which is?
The Rageful Jester.
Okay, the Rageful Jester.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is not the Rageful Jester, no.
No, probably not. But that also he did he emerged, I think, 1 month after the scream.
We had all the documents of Cal Rule too. Like there are these people that worship the stars that kind of predicted this.
Yeah, Kalrul predicted that's a very good pick, yeah. Kalrul predicted the exact date that the scream was going to happen. He didn't know what was going to happen, he just said something big is going to happen on this day. And then it did. Kalrul was the necromancer leading
this was
the...
in character. I know who
Oh.
Kalrul is.
Okay. Well then.
He is a necromancer we killed near the beginning of our time as judges.
And he made predictions?
Part of the
Accurate
necromorphs.
predictions? Oh.
Yes.
Either way,
It was like,
we're-
what is it called? Star something? Basically, he looked at the positions of the stars and was able to predict at least the dream event, which has kind of kicked this whole thing off.
I thought... Is astrology like a real thing? In Mythdosia?
There is not a very there is not like real world astrology in Mythdosia. No, there's not like Cancers, Aries, etc., etc.
Yeah, but like...
There is star divination though. Star theory
Okay.
is probably one of the most potent and most popular divination ideas, other than like traditional divination magic.
well, Corvus.
Are there
we're
any
ignoring-
studied star diviners?
No.
Is it like illegal?
No, it's not illegal. It's just a hyper esoteric and mystical form of divination. Why would you do any of that shit when you could just become an actual divination wizard? Takes the same amount of time.
Well, one of them seems to yield far more useful results.
Harkin, do you know? I only have 3 handouts for Pax Mithdosica.
That's weird.
What?
Oh, yeah, I hit all the old ones because I was trying to reload.
Oh,
I can
okay.
give you access to the...
I was trying to look for the Calrul
Yeah, I got you. Here are all the Khalil journal entries. I hid them because it actually lagged my Roll20 when I was in Denmark, but obviously I'm on my real computer now, so it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
Here you go. These are all 3 sections of his journal. I think the relevant one is... Let me see. I think it's... Loose pages, I think, right? No, it's not this one, I don't think. It's, recent pages? Question mark?
Recent Pages talks about...
Yeah.
I mean, they
Recent
all
Pages.
talk about star
Yeah,
signs a little bit.
Yeah, but Recent Pages gives an exact date that he predicts something happening. Which, weirdly enough, exactly 13 months ago. Kinda freaky. Also the 16th.
Corvus, I think we're ignoring something critical that just happened, which you are the first person to actually see the Beast of Atlia and live to know what exactly it is. So,
What do you mean, Lifton? Oh, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
you're currently the only person who knows what the Beast of Atlia looks like.
Well, we should go to Cato. You're right.
And more important, yeah, that's very critical information that we're able to use this bone to scry on the Beast of Atlia.
Something was off with that. It got severed without me intending to, and the area around it seemed dark in a way that I don't think it was just lighting. Something was screwing with the scrying, and I don't know if I can consistently reproduce anything.
Did it know you were looking at it?
I
Like,
don't
the
know.
computer did?
What did it feel like when the connection was severed? Is there anything I can tell from like?
Yeah, it was really fast. What you felt was a beginning of... Scrying has a risk of madness every time you use it. We almost never...
Oh, it does?
I think it's a 1 in 100 chance, yeah. We don't really
You're telling
roll
me I have a 1 in 100 chance whenever I use this to.
I mean,
just
it's
go
not like
insane?
literal madness. We can go check the spell, but I think it just causes, like... Let's go read it.
Yeah, let's. Because I don't recall anything like that on the spell.
Maybe that's an older edition of D&D. Let me go look at Crystal Ball.
Crystal ball? What?
Yeah, Crystal Ball. You know crystal balls. You know what crystal balls are.
The physical object with no magical inherent abilities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That must be from an earlier edition of D&D. Either way, when you use a crystal ball, most of the things you get from scrying are related to the connection itself. In this case, you felt something connecting to you through the scrying connection, and so you almost instinctually looked away. Which
Yes,
severed
I'll
the
say-
connection.
So I'll say. It was trying to. Something was trying to. Do something to the scrying connection.
What do you mean by something?
Whatever I scryed on, assuming it's the Beast of Atlia, was possibly aware of me being scrying. Either it was being aware that I was scrying on it, or something else was, and was trying to alter my connection or use it somehow.
Is this like when you scryed on the Rageful Jester and it, like, tried to kill you?
Not entirely unlike, no? How come?
I mean, yeah,
That-
it's
that's-
certainly similar. Yeah.
It's actually, yeah, I was gonna say. Actually, that's not too far off.
All right. Let's go tell.
So
Kate-
scrying on it is dangerous, but I thought nobody could successfully scry on it previously. Did nobody successfully do it previously, or did nobody? I want to talk to the people who previously supposedly scried on it.
All right.
But yes, let's go
Well-
to Kato.
Okay, the three of you make your way to Cato's office. He is busy when you arrive in the hallway. He's in a meeting with somebody. And you wait for a bit. And when eventually the meeting ends, a man with a series of 4 bodyguards wearing a purple cloak and the Imperial seal on his chest exits the office. His 4 bodyguards are Imperial guards. And
Do I
the
recognize this man?
No, but based on all of his stuff, he's certainly someone within the Imperial family. Not like a member of the family, but like one of the many, many people who manage the bureaucracy of the family.
Oh, I thought you were like saying he's like actually like a high.
No. The Imperial family is an institution which employs tens of thousands of people. This is probably a very high-ranking member of that employment structure.
Would I recognize?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's your homie Jeff.
Yeah, make me a history check. Yeah, I mean, you don't know him personally. You do know his title, though. This is the Imperial Lictor. Essentially, the Emperor has a fuck ton of advisors, like a borderline disgusting amount of advisors, because it's mostly like awarded to people who are loyal and a bunch of other things. It's like whatever. A lictor is someone who there's about 12 of them, and all 12 essentially are direct like agents of the Emperor. They do things he specifically tasks them to do. So in this case, he was probably getting an update from Cato on progress of the thing.
Would I like salute him if I see one? Would
No.
I like nod? All right.
It'd just be like a nothing. I mean, you don't know him personally. You are higher ranking than him. He doesn't know you're a member of the Imperial family, so he doesn't like look or nod at you. So you just kind of,
You don't know your little bro.
you just pass like 2 ships in the night.
All right.
And yeah, you guys head on into Cato's office. The office itself is basically clean today. Less activity. Though, he's finally got back his little cork board. This time, instead of being Transpontar Solaria, it's the Atlian Mountains. And it is covered with little red pins in the board. And Cato is standing. He's actually pacing, more accurately. And as you guys enter, he looks over. Hello?
Hello.
Good-ish news, Cato.
We've made some small progress that we felt would be wise to tell you.
It's good.
First, I have a question for you. Previously, it was said that the Beast of Atlia was immune to scrying.
Yes.
What exactly happened when people tried to scry on it?
What I was told was that they tried to use the bodies that people were familiar with to scry on the beast. Total failure. And since we only had the illusionary representation, there were other attempts to scry, but all of these ended in total failure. That's all I was told.
Okay. Well, in that case, we made a breakthrough. I successfully scryed on it.
Really? You know where it is?
Yes.
You know what it looks like?
No. And somewhat. There's powerful magic that is indeed hindering scrying on it, but with a shard of what we now suspect to be bone, layered with some type of alloy that we're not familiar with.
It's a mixture of steel,
Mithril,
titanium, and mithril.
Yes.
Is that a common alloy? I'm not
No.
familiar with metallurgy.
Titanium specifically, for example.
Well, I know titanium's
is-
rare, but
Yes.
Mithril
It's-
is what makes this sword here, and I'll slightly unsheath
I
it.
know the metal is I mean the
Yeah,
alloy.
I
mean the specific alloy.
It's not an alloy specifically known, and
Alright.
it's not something that was commonly used in our purposes. It's not an alloy that you'd use for armor or weapons. It's something you'd use to for
Conduct
magic.
Magic.
It conducts magical energy. What we suspect and what we now
You got the shard from the gorge.
yes.
Correct.
You have it on you?
Yes, I have it right here.
Yes, I believe so.
You should give it to the Department of Magic. For safekeeping.
Yes.
Agreed.
We've had an alchemist chip off a small piece so he could identify the metal. But yes, it seems to be that there's, if you look very closely at it, it's impossible to see for the naked eye. You can tell that there's tiny etchings in it, like a lattice work of runes that direct magical energy in a direction. What we now suspect is that the Beast of Atlia is not an actual living being, but a construct of the old Dwarven Empire that has somehow been reawakened. And
Well,
it
that's a
seems to be
theory, certainly.
consistent. It's consistent with what I scried on. I saw a skeleton that was completely layered with this metal, with this alloy. That's what I saw in my scrying vision. Before it was cut short. Someone or something is trying to prevent the scrying and was trying to harm me, so I had to sever the bond.
Someone or something.
Well, if it is indeed a construct, we wouldn't say it's a person. I'm not sure.
I suppose you're right. Well, it's a theory. The other group assigned to this task has also given me a theory, but I'll wait until you can collect further evidence.
Right. I had an idea. What was it? I was going to.
Where are the other two judges?
They went to Stellanum to follow up with they worked they used to work back on an earlier mission. They worked together with a scholar, and he apparently reached out to them saying he might be able to help, so they chased down that lead.
There have been an average of 2 attacks a day, so in the last several days.
How many of those attacks are beings that we would somewhat consider constructs?
I'm not familiar with any that fall into that category.
What are the reports of monsters that have attacked?
Well, he'll grab several slips of paper and toss them over. They are essentially sending spells that were sent to Cato from various bands of judges and inquisitors. The monsters listed are a hydra, a creature with green, slimy skin, 3 heads, the ability to breathe poison clouds and wings. A creature which appeared out of the sky, looked kind of like a shark-ish, kind of, but bigger, and ate one of the inquisitors of the group before they dispatched it. And then the 4th creature encountered had already devoured an entire village and resembled a giant frog that was able to put people to sleep by looking at them.
Okay.
That's your average Tuesday.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
average Tuesday. So far, that one Inquisitor is the only casualty so far, though.
I suppose that's the best we could hope for.
Also, he got revived. Cherry on top.
Pog.
Because it was just physical death.
Oh, he wasn't deleted.
Nope, just eaten.
I guess we'll. I think our next step would be to go on to a research excursion to find more information in the Atlan Mountains.
You think it's wise? I will say, if you're looking to be careful, the southern part of the range has reported more sightings than the north, so you could stick to the north for safety.
Understood.
And, one of you has sending, correct?
I believe Corvus
I
does.
do, yes.
Well then, I wish you luck. And if you find anything advancing or detracting from the construct theory, please present it.
Of course.
And
Good
I'll
luck.
head out.
Yeah, you guys head out. And you have a couple days before Maximus and Grania return. So you can get if you have any further research questions before they get back.
I guess for the sake of either stomping this out or giving more fuel to the fire, what's the difference between, I guess, where are we before I ask this question?
Wherever you want to be, you have like 2 days, so.
All right. I will ask Corvus this in like the privacy of our abode. What's the difference between a necromancer and a lich?
What, lich? What do I know about liches?
I mean, yeah, colloquially, lich just means strong necromancer. For example, Howrul the Vile is called a lich sometimes. Though arguably, it's highly debatable that definition may be accurate. Anyways, lich colloquially just means strong necromancer. In terms of what it actually is, like the meaning of the term, it is meant to refer to a necromanced human. Like a necromancer necromances themselves is essentially what a lich is.
Okay, so I'll say it's essentially almost like a necromancer who makes themselves into a necromantic thing.
How does that work?
I don't know.
If he knew how it worked, he'd be doing it, Lamau.
I don't know, and pretty sure that it's like heresy to know. It's like no, right?
Oh, right. Well,
I suspect it has something to do with with the soul, but other than that, I couldn't tell you anything.
well, I haven't tried yet, but Alex, I'm gonna cast Detect Evil and Good.
What?
Okay. Like on your current location?
Yeah.
Okay. There are no aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Rana
I
isn't
wanted
here.
to. I wanted to
Neither
check
Deadness.
if the what is it? The shard was considered any of those things.
Nope.
You know if there's a place that has been magically consecrated or desecrated?
Yeah, but isn't the range tiny?
It's 30 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I am holding the.
Oh, you think the object might be
So.
You know, you could have just tried to detect magic on that shit.
I mean, when Xenius cast it, he didn't see anything on it either. Well, I guess
Well,
not
identify,
on
I
the
mean.
exposed. I'm gonna ritual cast Detect Magic.
Well, Zendius is like right there. You can just do it in a millisecond.
Right.
Yeah, but do you really trust him?
Nah.
I trust
Motherfucker to be
Zendius.
lying.
I trust Zendius.
Xenius, can you look at the exposed part of this bone?
I suck souls.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, so last time I described it, a lot of I said it was once a part of something very magical of abjuration and necromancy, but a lot of the magic had started to fade. This is now an inert piece of material. There's no magic in it.
I can't believe we
Right.
failed to not. We didn't identify it last time, did we?
Nope.
That was really stupid of us.
Well, we know where to get more.
Do you?
Well, not really.
Yeah, there were like pebbles left at the gorge.
Oh yeah, well, I guess
Yeah,
we're going
but
back to
this-
George.
There was one of many that I picked up.
I think you picked up the largest one, if I recall correctly.
And also, if this one lost its, arcane energy, if it might just be related to time, and the other ones might also have lost it. I don't know.
Well,
Either way, I
We're
think the
only
next step
losing
is an
time now.
excursion back into the Atlian Mountains
do you want to
with a lot more
Cast.
questions than
Do you want
previously.
to cast Identify real quick?
Sure, I can try that.
Sure.
It's gonna take 10 minutes.
You cast Identify on this sliver. It has one magical property. If this... How would be the best way to word it? If the metal of this material were removed, then the underlying bone would automatically cast Transmute and then turn the air into the metal which sheathes the bone. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
Is that like once? Like is that like a one-time use type thing?
No, it is an ongoing effect. Though I will say, it's not currently functioning on this, but that is what it's one of the intentions of it.
Sag. I was gonna say it's time to make a bunch of money, guys. Chip off, regrow. Chip off, regrow.
Yeah.
Does it so? I mean, coating something in this metal, would that, like, if you wore, like, if your cloak was made out of this metal,
Yeah.
Corvus, how do you think that would output your magic?
My cloak. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's not an amplifier, it's just a conductor. So, like, for example, when a wizard wears heavy plate armor, it, like, cucks their magic. Like, it slows their movement of their arms. But imagine a wizard wearing complete, like, a bodysuit. Like, every inch of their skin is covered. They can't do somatic components. They can't do verbal components. And more importantly, even if they did them properly, somehow, the magic literally would not work. Like, you need to have your skin exposed, because there's a sort of, like, metaphysical component to it, that you're literally constraining the magic.
The only way I could see this being used is as like a type of exosuit that could. You could make prosthetics with this, no? Magical prosthetics.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ex-wizards becoming wizards again in the niche chance they get their arm blown off.
Or
their tongue removed.
like, yeah, or maybe like I mean,
well, if a wizard got their tongue removed, I don't know if I'd want them casting
oh
spells.
god. I'm just realizing. If you were to like augment your entire body, even though it's technically like dead with this type of stuff, maybe there's something to your whole lich theory.
Fuck. I did not want that.
Mechanical mecha Draco Lich, boys.
I actually really wanted to be wrong.
Yeah, I think everybody would want to be wrong if the being right means there's a lich you're up against, which is bad enough.
Lich/dragon.
A mecha Draco Lich, guys. Okay, Hakon. Which 40k adventure do you yoink this from? Praise the fucking Omnissiah, but like... we're fucked. I don't know, we're just throwing around theories at this point. We need more actual evidence and information.
Well,
but this is very interesting, that's for sure.
The current let's wait. The current thing backing this theory is the first time when it was really potent, Ednius used detect magic. He detected necromancy on these bones. meaning this thing is 100% dead, reanimated. Whoever modified it and drew that circle from which this thing allegedly emerged has a very, very deep, beyond our comprehension understanding of the arcane. And
Well, whoever made that, yes, but if it's a construct, whoever made it might be long dead, and the construct might have been in some kind of thing that was unearthed. Maybe the scream itself just set loose some rock that unearthed some type of laboratory where this thing was sleeping in, and it accidentally, like a pebble fell on the on button.
our best hope and current biggest question is how smart is this beast we're up against?
Smart enough to steal magic items.
Kill 5 Imperial judges.
So do you guys think
Well,
it's
you don't
this lich
necessarily
you're
need to be
talking
smart
about?
for that.
The one lich that's known? I mean, if we put all this together and we legend lore, I mean, we might get something good.
I don't think the lich is like that. Lich is related to this. As far as I
Lich
know,
was
he's like kind of
found,
imprisoned on that
Yogi's
island.
right, though. That is something you could legend lore, because if they're not connected, you would get like a... Basically, you could try to legend lore the Lich to see if there's any other major information about him.
It
I
is
guess we could do
expensive. It
that.
is 250 more gold that we need to
Holy, is that
get Maximus
consumed?
for anyway.
Yeah, I think part of it.
Holy.
What's going on?
Legend lore. The
Legend lore
spell is
consumes
expensive.
lots of gold, yeah.
What's legend lore?
It's a
Well,
6th
legend lore
level
is a spell that basically lets you, if something is like, you describe a person, place, or thing, and if it's very well known, like it's legendary, you can get consistent lore about it. Sometimes you can get secret lore, sometimes you can get forgotten stories, but it needs to be of like legendary importance.
Yeah, and it's like you get the more surface level like info you have, the more like deeper the knowledge you additionally get. It's like you peel the next layer of the onion.
Yeah, and then if you feed an incoherent sentence into it, that is also a data point, because what you would get is like no response, basically. Like if you say, tell me about Corvus's expedition to the west where he killed a dragon, which never happened, you would essentially get zero reply.
Blander, that's so rude. That definitely happened. That was last week.
Which not only never happened, never could happen, because he's so...
See? The actual slander.
I mean, can you cast legend lore?
Yogi can, yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
He's a very talented little guy.
Well, I need money, but yeah.
Oh.
Classic. Can you do it? Yeah, but it costs money.
Well, speaking of money, I think we can skip forward a little bit to when Maximus returns to the capital.
Yeah.
Mr. Moneypants.
Maximus, you have an incredibly pleasant ride through the countryside with Grania. You stay at roadside taverns. You practice your sign language. I'll even give you a progress on sign language because you have like a 3-day intensive study course because Grania is your only travel companion. You managed to get a full 10-minute conversation out of her. I don't know what it's about, but you manage it. Whether it's through pestering or loneliness or something, you managed to achieve it. And eventually, the duo, you guys arrive back in Mythos, head into the lead dining room, and all three of them have been taken by the madness now. On the like central dining table, there's like these 3 papers. One says, what is it? What? Mecha Draco Lich. Another one says, Elemental Construct parentheses Dwarves. Another one says Evil Dragon Time Travel, and there's like tons of crazy shit on all these court. Like they got crazy theories.
Uh-huh.
Also, Corvus didn't get
Oh.
that much sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll look at the first one. What did Mecha something?
Mecha Draco Lich.
Mecha Draco Lich.
Okay, imagine a mechanical construct that's in the form of a dragon that's actually a lich.
Uh-huh.
It's a purely
then-
hypothetical creature, I hope.
And then I'll look to the third one.
Yeah, they give up on that one pretty quickly. It's like scribbled out.
Yeah, that's a good idea, but this here second one.
Construct
Um,
parentheses dwarves.
That's the theory I'm...
While you were gone,
Um,
we attempted to scry on it. And I
How'd that
actually
go?
succeeded.
So you saw it.
I saw a skeleton that was clad in this alloy that the bone shard we had was coated in. And the connection was
Uh-huh.
promptly severed. It didn't want to be watched.
And this wasn't a hallucination you had induced by lack of sleep?
Yep. Proper crystal
Alright.
ball and everything.
Those things work?
If you know how to use them.
I always
It's
thought
like
it was
saying,
just...
it's saying, does your armor work? Or like your sword? Of course it works, but if a peasant wields it, it's useless.
I always thought those things were spooky mumbo jumbo.
Well, yeah, most people, they need to be made in a very specific way to be able to be used in a magical way. The most
Oh,
of the
so-
ones that you see on the carnival and whatever menagerie, they are spooky mumbo jumbo, as you would say.
Alright. Well, went and asked, our lovely friend from Gela Isle. He didn't know all that much, but gave me some things to think about. There's a lot of ruins in the Atlian Mountains, supposedly Batavian, whatever that means. But they were excellent magic wielders. More of them were magical than most other populations. I need to go talk to a monstrologist about dragons.
I think we're not gonna get more than we already have from astrologers, no?
What do you have?
Well, I talked to somebody who studied like mythology about bronze dragons, and he just told me about symbology. We don't know. There's no knowledge about bronze dragons.
Yeah,
As far as
that's
most people are aware, they don't exist. I don't think a astrologist is gonna be able to tell you all that much more. But I guess you could try.
that's fine. I'm pursuing a rather specific route here.
Sure.
There may be dwarven holds in the mountains. In fact, most scholars think there are. We just don't know where. From the
Well,
Golden Age.
in that case, we should go looking for them, because there's a very good
Uh,
chance this is linked.
He said that one has been found ever, and it was found by the Red Mountain Dawi who knew where to look. That was about 500 years ago.
Well, we have a vague idea where to go from when we're looking.
Yeah, they knew exactly where to dig.
Oh, like full on dig. Okay, that's a problem.
Oh yes, excavate. Yes.
Well, but if there's something from it active, then there might be
Yeah,
an
maybe
actual
there's a
access.
hole they're spilling out of.
You know, this actually does bring up something that maybe your characters would know about. Roll a history check.
All of us?
Yeah,
No.
I think literally anyone in the party could know about this. Well, except for actually, I don't want to fuck Grania. Everyone roll a history check. I think it's unlikely Grania would know, but there's always a chance she read it in some random book.
Okay.
Age.
-1.
Yeah,
You're still
everyone
buff.
but Primius has heard of this place. In the Nazar Desert, which I'm going to quickly post to the world map because I don't think we've talked about this region once. Like, actually, it's just such like a relatively unimportant region for this campaign. In this desert over here, people live here. Athnaween, which are a type of half-elf, live here out in the desert. And in a southern area around here, there is a place that the half-elves call Golgotha. It is a place where there is an ever-shifting labyrinth from which emerge clockwork horrors that kill people, break their bodies, and drag them back into the labyrinth. And while for very obvious reasons there has not been any archaeological digs there, there is a prevailing belief that this is an old either Golden Age or maybe even Red Mountain Dawi hold that was essentially destroyed by its automated systems, and then those systems continued to try to reproduce themselves and emerged out onto the surface. And so there's an area about 50 square miles around that underground entrance called the Scourge, because if you get within 50 miles of Golgotha, the chance of you encountering one of these clockwork entities gets very high and very lethal. Which, based on everything you guys just said, what you're describing here, an old dwarvish hold that gets partially surfaced and its contents start to spill out onto this, does sound very similar.
Is there any scholars that specifically specialize in Golgotha?
Yeah, in the Delian League.
Lovely.
Fuck! Okay, so there's two main leads, Delian League, and we will go back to the Atlan Mountains.
There is I don't know how much globetrotting you want to do, but there is also going to the dwarves of East Lothier in the west and trying to like get their insight on dwarvish constructs. But
Jesus Christ.
The chances of us contacting Vondai increases by every session.
you already contacted him once, no? No, you contacted Valentine.
No.
You're right. Yeah.
I was gonna say, wonder he didn't even try.
No, yeah. You just contacted Archmagus Valentine of Cavarinth, a very cool guy. Smile.
He's
No.
pretty chill.
He's pretty chill.
It's just a chill guy.
I mean, they seem very similar. That's sort of what I assumed had happened after my talk.
Do we have any depictions of these clockwork entities?
You do, because God bless pulpy fiction writers, because Mithdosians, up until recently, were actually very insulated from the outside world, and so they loved collecting adventure stories. I think I mentioned that Vondai ibn Hothar is also a big publisher of adventure stories, highly exaggerating his own adventures. Mythdosia fucking loves them, because it gives them this like sense of like exoticism and adventure without doing anything. So there is prior to the wars and stuff, there was a cohort of Mythosians who would travel the world collecting fucked up stories. There's a very famous one who is now a governor in Al Sarah, who originally traveled to Galadrim just to collect war stories, and then he started actually fighting and he became a warlord, but it's a whole thing. So for Golgotha, there's actually 3 separate books that you can pull upon. And obviously, these are not meant to be accurate, but they do capture some of those accuracies. And the depictions depict, all 3 of the stories are written by the same guy, and they all depict one thing in common. Lots of the details are different, but one thing they all share, and most of you know this just because you've read these stories, especially those of you born in the Empire. So everyone but Grania, you read them as like little boys. Like these were really cool little stories. The depiction is this: a 7-foot tall, skinny humanoid shape with a metal arms and legs, a large stovepipe hat, a halberd in one hand, and then a lantern in the other. The lantern serves no purpose. The eyes glow and provide illumination. There is this hissing and popping noise from behind the neck as it like belches out steam. And in the center of the chest, there's this combustion constantly going on. It sounds like a walking explosion. That is a description of one of the clockwork types, though the story mentions half a dozen. This is the only one that gets like a super detailed explanation.
Okay, the ones we met, the weird things, that they also had combustion central on their chest, no?
You could say that, though. That was more magma,
Oh,
less so
was that-
combustion.
Were they closer to elementals or like mechanical
I'd say closer to
constructs?
elemental, yeah.
Oh.
Because that was like roiling fire. This is like a car engine. Like it's like constant little explosions. Well, it is near the end of our session time, but we could pick one of these 3 routes to commit to, or 2 routes, since you mostly seem to be considering those 2. Is it Mountain Time, or is it Golgotha/Delian League time?
I think Mountain Time is scary, so I vote for Golgotha.
Yeah,
Isn't Golgotha like super scary?
well, we wouldn't go there. Hopefully.
We also don't have the
Going to
wait.
get-
into the Beast of
Oh wait, we
Atlan.
wouldn't?
My understanding was
Oh,
we were going
Jesus.
to get to the researchers that were in the Delian League, not go to Golgotha itself.
That was also my
Well-
understanding, yeah.
Yeah, that was mine.
Whereas the mountain has a
Honestly,
chance of running into
I
it.
vote for
at
Delian
least
League
that
just because I
is.
want to get out of the Empire for once. I want to see what it's
Please, first
outside.
time you're leaving the. Wait, dude, wait. I just realized Hako has never left the Empire in my setting. Like, in
Yes.
every D&D session
Oh
you've
my
ever
God.
played has
Oh
been
no.
in the
The
Doshan
closest
Empire.
the closest I've gotten is
This poor guy.
That
is
is
the
so
Temperatian
fucking
Plains.
funny. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Question, Harkon. The other campaign was where we went related to Golgotha?
Yeah, you fought some of those constructs.
Okay. I
Yeah,
don't
you
think we
fought
knew
about.
about those stories, did we?
You didn't know any of that shit because you did not research. You just walked into it.
Space.
Giga Chad.
Oh,
Alex,
viewers don't
can
need
I-
to do research.
And luckily for
Can I
you,
go
you had
see the,
Yogi's Giga fucking Paladin, so you were fine. But yeah. Okay, well then, we are at the end of
Can I
our
go see
time.
the monstrologist really quickly before we wrap
You
up?
can
Because
super quickly.
I will forget.
Sprint full speed to the monstrologist. He's a half elf. He's in a booth. You open the thing. He looks at you. You look back. He says, "Hello."
Hello. You're monstrologist, right?
It's the job title.
Sick. I'm with the other judges who have been by. Although I have a slightly
That doesn't
different line of
narrow it
questioning.
down.
Oh, yeah, doesn't matter. Dragons.
Dragons.
They are linked to the elemental plane they come from, right? The fire ones are red and they breathe fire. They come from the elemental plane of fire, right?
That is one of the methods of classification.
Okay. Where do the blue ones come from?
The elemental plane of air.
Of air. Okay. Lightning. Is there any speculation on what dragons from the other elemental planes would look like?
Yes,
would be
there
like,
is
or their
a
behavior.
there was a conceptual piece done by, I believe it was a 7th century Mithdosian author who imagined what they'd look like a rock dragon, I believe was one of them. Then there was a serpent for the elemental plane of water. And then he also developed ones for the transitional plane, so like a smoke dragon, a magma dragon, a swamp dragon, and a frost dragon.
Magma dragon. Did
Yeah.
it just breathe magma?
No, it was a creature of living molten magma, sort of like an elemental, but held together by these crusty bits of blackened rock.
Did it breathe anything?
It vomited magma, perhaps would be the more accurate term.
Okay, and that's it?
I mean, there are other speculative things, but obviously none have been observed outside of red and blue in recorded history. Not to mention the whole worm versus dragon debate.
Sure, whatever. Is there a... Bear with me, might sound stupid. I'm kind of stupid. Is there a plane hotter than the one of fire? Some weird transitional one or something like that?
Well, under the traditional wheel model, there is a plane of ash and a plane of magma. As of which of the three is hotter, I couldn't rightly say, though my general understanding is the plane of fire is the hottest.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
To be fair, though, your assumption could be as good as anyone else's, since most of the people who made these classifications never went to these planes for obvious reasons.
Not a lot of people get out and about when it comes to the planes, do they?
No, not so much. Mostly relying on the information of people before them, and mostly the elves.
Mostly the elves. Okay, are the dwarves associated with the plane of Earth at all?
No,
No, not really.
I mean beyond vague associations that are borderline racist in their caricature.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay.
That was unproductive.
Hey, I mean, Sure, we've been investigating the Beast of Atlia for about 8 hours, and a lot of them have ended in dead ends. But imagine when it all comes together at the end, and you're like, "Wow, look at all the effort we expended, and we finally figured out something." Because you have figured out things, okay? You haven't just been spinning your wheels. You've gotten concrete information.
That's true.
It's one heck of a mystery, okay? It's one
We've
real
gotten
doozy.
concrete and we've got information. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, not next week. Whenever we get the next session, maybe 2-3 weeks, who the fuck knows? We will go to the Dying League. Very exciting. Leaving Mythdosia for the first time.
Is next week's canceled?
It
Is
is
that
indeed.
legal?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is what legal?
It's legal to leave the Mythos Jumper, right?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, it's not like.
Straight
Well,
to jail.
it's not like it's considered
No.
like treason or anything like that.
No, you just need to get a visa, which is easy.
Straight to jail.
Well, listen, this state is very authoritative. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. Yeah, I mean, you guys are a part of the elites. You can get a visa very easily and leave. Anyways, we'll do all that next time. And, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.